What is up, guys? Pittsburgh Weiss Schwarz back today. So we're going to talk about something a little different today. We're going to talk about the English tier list and where we think all the sets are placed. We have four of us on the call today. It's me, Carmen.
Hi, I'm Andy.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Tyler.
All right, we're going to go through an alphabetical order of our names, go through our tier lists. We're going to go over them pretty briefly, and then we're going to sort of put together our collaborative tier list together, and then we're going to compare it to the illustrious Boats Don't Sink, his most current tier list. So let's jump right into it. Andy, I think you're up first.
I am first in the alphabet. So basically, as far as this tier list goes, I think we're all pretty much on the same page that, like, S tier is the top tier. A tier is, like, competitively viable, but not quite at that top level. B tier stuff is definitely tournament viable, but not fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything below that's kind of fringe. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I agree, yes.
Mine was like S tops consistently, A tops with a lot of effort, B you can top if you play amazing and get lucky, and then C and below you're like really pushing it. Like you're really going into the, like, you know, nether regions of being able to get there.
I think that actually lines up closer with my list.
Like in singles. In Springfest, I mean, like in trios, you know, anything with a two-soul climax can get there. So not gonna we're saying just in singles. This is how we're evaluating. So.
Yeah, but so anyway, my tier list. As far as I'm concerned, I think anything that's I have at B or above is definitely like tournament viable and can compete and could be worth bringing to a tournament. Anything below that's kind of fringe. Maybe C tier stuff you could like squeak a win out with, but the top three tiers are kind of where it's at. Specifically, I want to talk about my top tier. I think Attack on Titan is the strongest deck in the game, in the format, by a large margin. And I think if you're trying to win a big tournament, you're doing yourself a disservice by not playing this deck. The best way to even the playing field is to just play this fucking deck. It's too good. I think Konosuba is probably the next best deck. They have probably unrivaled filtering power and a non-interactable endgame with a stock swap Fumio that attacks your opponent from an angle that they really just can't defend against. With Sunshine, I think that's the next best deck. Mirai Ticket is absurdly broken, and all the filtering cards that are limited in Japan are all legal at 4 here in America. So, or not just America, I guess wherever you play English format, it's completely unrestricted and it's crazy. Sword Art Online, I think, is the next best set. I think the standby build can pump out some really disgusting fields very quickly. And the Zekken Shot build has really good access to its deck with the Zekken combo at level 1. And I think Bang Dream rounds out the top tier. And I know a lot of people put the set higher, but I just think compared to the other top sets, it's a little bit less threatening. Like when someone sits down and plays AOT against me, I'm afraid that I'm never going to get a reverse, and they're just going to ping me out with Mikasas. Against Konosuba, they're just going to drown me in card advantage and blow me up, and I can't stop them. But Bang Dream, it's like they lose board the whole time, and then they have a pretty good finisher, but I don't think it's that much better than the rest of the top tiers to really put it above any of the others. And that's all I want to talk about for now. And I think we can go to Brian's list now.
All
right. So I guess the first thing that you'll notice on my list is that the A tier is jutting out a little bit far. Initially, I made this list a couple weeks ago in just a couple minutes. If I were to remake this list, I would probably move down to Love Room, maybe No Game No Life to the B tier. But the obviously the S tier are the decks that are super competitively viable. These are the decks that are likely topping the big events, the regionals, the worlds. The A tier decks are the decks that I believe have good enough cards to maybe with a little bit of luck or the right spicy build that hasn't been discovered yet can definitely eke out a win. B tier decks are getting into a little bit more questionable territory. And then C and below are kind of a mishmash of things that I don't think are super great. But I am almost in complete agreement with Andy about I am in complete agreement about the placement of Attack on Titan and Konosuba here. I do believe unquestionably that Attack on Titan is the best deck in the game, solely due to the existence of omnidirectional mobility gear and the ability to deny reverses. If not for that card, I believe Konosuba would be the best game in the deck. Or the best deck in the game, excuse me. I realized what I said a little bit late there. But yeah, due to the fact that Gear blocks the Union combo for Konosuba, and Armin completely denies the Clock Shoot Megamine, solely based on that matchup alone is the reason why Konosuba is second to Attack on Titan. Bang Dream, I believe, is third best, based solely on the quality of their cards alone. They have amazing zeros in things like Invincible Hero Kokoro. They have a solid level 1 combo in, I guess, both Christmas Kasumi and the Yukino Maguro. And they have plenty of finishing options with both the Kokoro Musashi, the Birdcage Diva Yukina, and even Mocha in some builds, depending on how you build that. Sunshine is rounding out the S tier solely based on just how absurdly quick and how disgusting the finisher comes out. The Yo is stupid, burning for however much damage, and being able to control that with a lot of your cards like Mari and Kanon is just nuts. The reason Attack on Titan is not in my S tier, I guess first of all I should say that in Sword Art Online. Excuse me. In Sword Art Online, I believe the Zekken Shot build to be the better of the two, as opposed to Standby Switch. The reason I wouldn't put Zekken Shot in S tier is solely based on the fact that they don't have a better finisher than Last Shot Shinon. The fact that it burns for 4 and they don't have any way to guarantee that with something like a Fumio that Konosuba has puts it at a sore disadvantage. Aside from that, I believe most of the other decks in the A tier to be roughly the same power level. The reason Kantai is so low on my list is solely due to low exposure on my part. I haven't had the pleasure of playing many very good games against Kantai. And we can move on to Carmen.
All right. So kind of mirroring what everybody else said, I want to sort of break down how I broke my list up. So like we said, we're talking about consistently topping, stuff like that. So again, far and away, the best deck is Attack on Titan. The ability to deny reverses in English, where Bushiroad consistently prints nothing but on-reverse combos in both previous sets and sets to come, especially with like Fever on the way for Girls Band Party 2, just makes Attack on Titan just even better going forward. If there's any set that gets hit by this new quote-unquote ban list, it's going to be AOT. Just because you have to think about AOT when you build any deck. Like, any deck that you're building that you want to take to a tournament, you have to think about how you're going to play against Attack on Titan. That alone makes it the best deck, because you have to get, like, omnidirectional gear is just the fucking best card in the game. Like, I have no other way to put it. Like, it's just amazing. Konosuba and Sunshine, I consider to be equivalent. I think that they have equivalent but slightly differing like deck manipulation games that are ridiculous. Like, Sunshine is crazy good at controlling the top of the deck and like scrying. It's great at controlling the top and the bottom, but like Konosuba mills through its deck just as fast as Sunshine, and then also can plus on first deck like ridiculously consistently with Ambush. Like, basically Amagiing for 1 for a guaranteed plus for every stock you have is just completely ridiculous. Like, that's insane. No other deck can do that like Konosuba can. Their like finishing power, I think, is equivalently destructive in different ways. You can't play around Megumin, and like, but then Yo comes out super early and destroys you because it's unbelievably broken and unrestricted in combination with that deck manipulation package. And they're just like equivalently broken in different ways. Bang Dream rounding it out. I think Bang Dream is definitely an S tier deck. I think it shines in the fact that it doesn't really care what its opponent's doing, no matter what mid game you're playing. You can just not care at all. It's the best fishbowl deck in the game, and I think that alone puts it in S tier. Like Yukina, Mocha, like whatever you want to do, the games are won in the mid game usually, unless you're Konosuba, I guess. But like Bang Dream just commands that without caring what's in front of it, which makes it really good in an Attack on Titan environment too, because you don't have to care about the mid game as much. But you can play around Bang Dream's finishers more consistently and effectively than you can the other decks. That's why it ends up the thing. Same sort of thing with Sao. I think that the fact that it burns for 4 kind of leaves it there. And we can get into that when we do our collaborative list a little bit more in depth. Looking at the rest of the A tier, I think that Kontai, Persona, like, they're just incredibly good decks with also good deck manipulation with great finishers. Like, who's her name? Starts with a K. The one that combos off Gate. Like, the fact that you can manipulate the damage in a way where when you get reverses, you can ping for exact amounts. Like 1, 2 when you're getting down to the end. Persona, like, just the ability of Joker, Climaxless Crazy Finisher alongside your other finishers, great synergy with like Ryuji or the on finishers and stuff like that. ReZero and GGO definitely have the best grind game, where they're really just kind of like grinding you out till the end, which is something unique that I don't think a lot of other decks do. ReZero and GGO definitely like command that, and that's why they're at A. And Revyu's up there solely because of Kaoruko, and I think it's the best deck that has a shitty mid game that relies on a Shimakaze. I think it's like the prototypical amazing set that's held back by a terrible level 1 climax combo, and no good ways to plus outside of that climax combo that are relevant enough for the finisher. The only other thing I want to touch on with my list is that I do think Apocrypha is like far and away the best B tier deck, like without question. It would be A if Astolfo wasn't, you know, like the way it is, and you didn't have to rely on standby, because it doesn't plus on standby either. But I think that's far and away the best B tier deck. I think anything below Apocrypha and you're like asking for trouble, unless you're playing something real spicy. But that's basically it for me. I think I pretty much mirror most of your guys' general opinions. And we'll move to Tyler.
All right. So, unlike all of you people, I put Bang Dream at the very top. I think that most of our community, if not most of the English community, would say otherwise. I think that I put Bang Dream at the top because, first off, I hate the set.
Totally fair.
That's some
Oh
solid.
my god.
Second off, I think that it tops anywhere you look. No matter where you look in anywhere, locals, regionals, anything, Bang Dream will be there. And I win more in a personal experience against Attack on Titan Konosuba than Bang Dream. So I have a very deep hatred with Bang Dream. With Attack on Titan, I agree with all of you guys saying that it just denies reverses in any possible way. Mobility geared's very obnoxious. The Armin untargetable superpower is very annoying. The Mikasa burns. Too consistent. Konosuba, I put a little bit lower on the S tier based on experience, because I find it a lot easier to deal with than other S tier decks. To me, it lacks in zeros and ones. Sure, Bunny Girl Union is pretty good, but I never really have a issue with swinging back and killing her. And I somehow always live the Fumio into clock shoot burn 4. So based on experience, that's with Sword Art, and I keep Konosuba, and with Sword Art, I put it S for a couple reasons. The first reason I would say it's an underrated set. People would think it's either a high A or very low S. I'm only keeping it at low S just for the fact that I agree with Brian that there's not a better finisher than Last Shot, but Last Shot is still a very good finisher. They are getting a Musashi burn later for Alicization, which will definitely help the consistency of the deck. And on consistency's sake, the deck Zekken Last Shot is very good at compressing along with Zekken. And yeah.
Well spoken.
Yeah. And for Sunshine, you've all had Sunshine on S tier. I put it at high A because Mirai Ticket is very broken, but all you need to do is prepare for it. I think in that aspect, you just have early play hate ready and on the go. And as soon as it comes down, you just smack the Yo into the bottom of the deck or into stock or something like that. And then all they do is have just a wall Chica, and that's it. For ReZero, Persona, and Review, I think those are all very consistent, not S tier worthy decks, but consistent enough on deck manipulation and just consistency, but not ReZero's not making it into the S tier for finisher's sake. They don't have Musashis, they don't have any type of burns other than the new Betty, which is still not that great in my opinion. And then passing B for a second, all my C's and below are just inexperience. I have played almost never or very little of those sets, so I can't say much on those. And then for the B tier, you just have to pretty much, in my opinion, get lucky with these decks. And that's about it.
All right.
All right, so if you guys want to hop over to the tier maker site, I'm going to switch my scene here and pop over. So beginning the discussion in the S tier, I don't think is there an argument for AOT not being at the 1? Like, air your
I can keep it at 1,
now.
yeah.
Air your grievances now, like.
Mm-hmm. Now, Gear's too busted. Aaron's too strong.
As much as my hatred for Bang Dream, I would say that Attack on Titan is definitely top.
For me, it's the build around aspect. Whenever I'm brewing a deck, the first thing I think about is how do I deal with Attack on Titan. Mm-hmm. If I'm thinking about brewing a deck that I would plan to take to BCS or Springfest or something like that, I have to think, okay, what am I going to do about AOT when it comes my way? I think that alone puts it at number 1.
Yeah.
In the S tier. And
I mean, I just think, hey, I want to play a Shimakaze and so deck. Well, guess what? If you take that to BCS and you play against Attack on Titan in half your games, you're not going to do real well.
Yeah, I think that other decks that would have a chance of being higher in the tier list. Just things like, I don't know, looking at this tier maker, things like, just going through it, like Excel World, Sword Art Online with the Zekken combo, Review Starlight, Persona, things that could have been like higher on the tier list. They just don't have a good way of doing a Fate to Bear Aaron. Unlike you guys, I mean, yeah, I think Gear's a really good card, but I think the Aaron's actually the biggest offender in the combo.
I would agree.
It's both
The
of
fact
them
that he
together.
hits the fact that he is overstated in the sense that most level 1 on reverse combos, they can hit up to like 7k, right?
Yeah.
Aaron gets to 7-5 with his climax. He's already bigger than most. And Attack on Titan is probably the best deck in the game at pumping on its own turn. So they get very big. And the fact that it just sits there and denies a reverse. Because Aaron's obviously getting a reverse.
It's the damage
in most
buffer.
situations.
It gives them a damage buffer, and it salvages their gear, which they can use to thin their deck, get pieces from their deck that they need that they don't want to risk taking as damage. And it even does things where like you try to set their deck in any way, they just gear. Like, have you ever heard the horror story of when you attack in with Mocha, you set their deck, and then they gear and shuffle and cancel on one? Like stuff like that. Like Gear's the only card in English that really does something like that disruptive. Like, I don't know.
I guess in my opinion, I don't think Gear is that big of a deal on its own, but I think in combination with Fate to Bear Aaron, it becomes very oppressive.
Yeah, it's
very clearly the dominant strategy.
It turns Gear, which is a straight minus, into a break even because the Aaron can pop.
It's Gear in conjunction with Aaron, just denying any reverse that could that you could possibly want during your. And in addition to the fact that Attack on Titan runs 7-8 runners, that you can't reverse anything for the first.
The deck's just so good at every level.
Yeah, 8 runners. Yeah. Like, okay, so level 2, they just play the Armin, and they just keep looping their level 1 because their Aarons can get to absurd power levels.
Right, then they just win board anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb.
The Armin changes free. They have like the best of defense and offense. Mikasa is like at the end of the day.
I think it's the most consistent finisher at killing your opponent from 3-0.
Mikasa is by the damage charts and simulations. There are some guys over on the Card Games Discord and Burn One's Discord who have run the numbers where they run 10, like 100, like I think it's like 10 to 30,000 simulations on endgames, and Mikasa is like the baseline. She's like the center line.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the way that compression works and distributions and stuff like that, which is like, I guess it's all just fucking superstition, but like pinging off climaxes is so strong.
Yeah, pinging in the end game is so good. Yeah,
and like Mikasa might not be big on your opponent's turn, but as Brian learned yesterday, you can't crash Mikasa.
No, if you want to jump swing,
stock.
You can't. Yeah, you just can't.
AOT also doesn't have a giant stock overhead, so they play around, and they manipulate their deck super well, so they play around stock swap and Fumio super well, which is like just another reason the deck's over the edge. Yeah, I think this is S. There's no more reason to talk about AOT anymore. It's number 1.
That's fair.
All right, so let's get into 2, 3, 4, 5. Where do we want to start with this? Like, I think it's between Konosuba and Sunshine for number 2.
I think Bang Dream.
Bang Dream?
Like, straight up, yeah.
You did. I really like the point you brought up where you said that when you look at top lists, Bang Dream is always there.
Consistently, it's Bang Dream, Attack on Titan, and either Sword Art or, like...
Sunshine, honestly.
Or Sunshine, or maybe, like, Konosuba or a Hidden Gurren Lagann or something in there.
Yeah, that is a good point.
I think a reason for that, however, isn't necessarily due to the power of Bang Dream, but the affordability of the deck.
Yeah,
compared to the other top tiers.
Especially,
I mean, if you're doing Cosmi Toilet into Yukina, that's expensive. But a lot of these lists you see top are they'll just use whatever. They'll use Mocha as the finisher. They'll use Crystal Song at level 1. Maybe they're just playing a Pastel Palette deck that's $50. It's like...
I mean, they still win very
Who knows?
consistently.
And
Right,
it's
I mean,
worth
that's-
noting, like Brian said,
But I think it's overrepresented.
their card quality is ridiculous. The fact that you can... I think Bang Dream has the best ability to adapt to the meta because of its crazy card quality. If you're worried about like not being able to win on board, run the Pastel Palettes engine into Yukina. People used to do that. People still do, because then you get to wall up with Chisato. Like, you can adapt to what you want all within the same set. Like, I say this all the time. You can play any deck archetype in Bang Dream, and that's what makes it so strong. They have
Right, yeah.
every tool.
The card quality is just so good, so high.
See, for me, I don't agree with that. I think, yeah, Bang Dream has a large card pool, but I think as far as teching your deck to beat other decks, I think Sword Art has it beat.
Well,
I think
Sword
Sword Art
one
has
set on it.
probably the best tech cards and can really tweak its game plan
I can see that.
without changing the archetype. Like, yeah, Bang Dream has a lot of different ways to play it, but if you do switch to a Pastel Palettes deck, you're changing your whole deck. If you switch to an Orisa Wall deck, there's your entire deck is now different. You can't just like tech 1 or 2 cards different.
I don't know if I agree with that completely, but like I see where you're coming from. Like, you have to pick a package. You're picking packages that you can mix and match. Like,
I suppose that's a good way to put it.
yeah, like you can run the Orisa Wall top end package and then run Pastel Palettes mid game if you wanted to. It wouldn't be as strong as like Mono Orisa, but you could do it. You know, depending on what part of the game you're worried about. Like, you can mix and match packages, but you do have to decide on which 2 you're running.
Yeah, but I do see where you're coming from, Andy. And Sword Art has the ability to toolbox really well, where they can run a lot of level 3 1-ofs that are extremely conditional, and still have the ability to search them out and find them whenever they need them. They also have the ability to, you know, say you're playing Second Shot, you're tired of losing board at level 1. You could replace, say, the Determination with Life on the Line Kirito with Swimsuit Sugu, and in conjunction with your Amagi Sugu and the Asuna backups, have an easy time winning board at level 1. So Sword Art definitely does have, I think, an easier time switching between or teching against the meta is a good way to put it, I think.
It's worth noting Bang Dream's also restricted by band going forward too, unlike Sal.
Mhm.
Sal isn't restricted by like set being split at all. Like, some of the Yuki Asuna stuff is conditional, but like it doesn't make that big of a deal because you're running Yuki anyway. Like, if you're running those cards, like when you need green fix.
I mean, I guess Fluctlight is coming, but
Fluctlight isn't relevant. Let's not. I guess, I don't know, the Kirito finisher in it is, but it's not here yet. But
yeah.
well,
Mhm.
time will tell. It'll just make Sword Art even better. Like, but I don't know. Let's shift towards Konosuba then, because I think Konosuba is definitely, it's either Konosuba or Sunshine, and I think that, again, there's just different reasons why they're so broken.
Yeah.
I think Konosuba is better positioned in general because it doesn't have one big thing that you're afraid of. There's not one big spooky boogeyman. There's like 5 different ones that you're playing around at the end game. You can't get seizured because seizure stops your combo. You can't get Fumioed because then you get killed by Megumin. You can't leave a board because then you get clock shot. Like,
Right.
you have to play around. You have to choose which 2 you're playing around, and you get hit by the 3rd one. And they're always going to do it because of their filtering ability.
I think that Sunshine is definitely a stronger deck when things are going right. I think when you're high rolling, nothing's better than Sunshine. But I think the Konosuba deck is very consistent, probably the most consistent deck out of the top tiers.
Other than AOT. AOT is definitely
Well,
the most
I think
consistent.
AOT can sometimes have trouble setting up its combo. You know, like if you don't get your combo off at 1, you're pretty screwed.
I don't know if I agree with that.
My opponents never seem to have trouble getting Yell of Rage off.
Me too.
In AOT, you go all the way down to 1. Like, you go to 0 cards to get wind in your opening hand.
Yeah, but sometimes you just don't get it. Like,
but you still can get it, though. That's the thing. It's just like, so you don't get in your opening hand. You have like 3 turns of draw because AOT dirtles better between 0 and 1. Better than any other deck. Like, they have the best dirtle game in the opening. Like, by far. They can sit there and do effectively nothing all game, and then they always plus with their zeros because you can't reverse them because they just run everywhere. Like, ugh. I don't know. I think the threat of Konosuba is like and Tyler put the nail on the head. You can really prepare for Sunshine, you know? You can, because if you play your whole game to really get in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because even if Sunshine is having a great game, like Andy said, sure, it's strong, but you just need to prepare, and then down they go. Sure, it's 1 extra stock for the Yo coming out from waiting room, but that's still 3 stock for just 1 level 3 wall.
If you hate the Yo, then if you.
Well, why wouldn't you hate the Yo? The Yo's the burn target. The Yo is the reason why Sunshine's so good.
Okay, let me rephrase. if you have the hate, you always hate the Yo.
Yeah.
But if you have the hate in general against Sunshine, then you severely cripple their endgame plan. Where
if you
against something like Konosuba, you can hold your their level 2 Konosuba's level 2 game is significantly less impactful, and if you hate on a Dame and they drop 2 Dames, the Dames cost net 1 stock. So it's not going to be hindering Konosuba too much.
I think one thing about Sunshine is that in regards to playing around the deck, in regards to anti-changing them or using some sort of early play hate, I think Sunshine is the more proactive deck. And even if you do anti-change the Yo, they still get their burn off.
Yeah, it's worth
and you're
noting.
You're playing on their terms. You're playing on their tempo.
Sunshine sides at that turn more profitably than any other deck, too. Like, I don't know. When I'm playing Sunshine, I don't care about siding my opponent's board at 3 because I've manipulated my deck to get a burn for 3 for Yo. That's still 2 attacks. And I can slam a Stalk Soul and be prepped for my next turn, too. Like, I don't know. You definitely have anti-change to force the side to possibly give you another turn at 2. But I don't think it's as big of a deal. Like, you can definitely prep. But
yeah, I've never played Sunshine, so I'm not sure about that.
I think a big argument here comes down to consistency. I think the Megamine deck very consistently sets up what it's trying to do.
The only time I ever see
especially considering it. Or I guess let me finish my thought here first, Tyler.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the fact that it's a monocolor deck, generally, I guess for the majority of the game, it just and has so much filtering tools. It really can set up what it wants to do every time. Whereas Sunshine, even though we do have all these powerful filtering cards like the Maris and the Ruby Akatsuki and the Chica level 1 reverse combo, you're just trying to hit all these colors so quickly, and that's another inconsistent factor of the deck, is that setting up your colors and color fixing, I feel, could be difficult some games with that deck. And I feel that some games, and I really haven't played Sunshine with it, but I feel like you could get stranded with cards in your hand and be color locked.
I've definitely seen that in experience because Brian got color locked a bunch.
Yeah, I've questioned a lot playing the blue in Sunshine because you definitely want to be running the red yellow for the Ruby Akatsuki and the Mirai Ticket package. The I know Mari's a good card, but running 3 different color level 1s and trying to accommodate for that is so hard.
The red pill here is that you don't play blue till level 2. Like, here's my reasoning that the 3 colors isn't that big of a deal. You run 3 of Conan because Conan's fucking broken. Mari with Conan is even fucking dumber. And in a deck that consistently goes down to after its combo turn, you're probably going to go down to like 4 or 5 cards in hand. And it doesn't even matter because your cards like are going to live because Conan's going to save them, or the Maris are going to pop back to hand because you've set your next deck for them to pop. Like, I don't think the level 3 is that big. I don't think that the blue in the deck is a big of a deal at all. I don't think it matters. Because, like, what are you trying to hit? Red and yellow at 1. Easy mode. Especially because you play Sunshine to get to 1 first, usually. So you play to get hit. So that you're at 1. You farm those zeros. You get in there. You're set to go. Setting up blue can be a little hard, but when you don't have blue, it's not that big of a deal. Because then you just, if you're going to say, okay, I'm not going to hit blue, you just hold 2 Conans. That's 2 Scries. If that's not enough to get you to a ping 1, 2, or 3, like, then you just set your second deck wrong. That's all your fault. You thin zeros like it's your job in Sunshine. You remove every 0 from your second deck that you can. Like, I count zeros in Sunshine before I count climaxes going into second deck. I think it's really important to manage your amount of zeros because you're only running like 14 or 15, or if you're crazy, even less. But yeah, I think when we're talking about consistency, Konosuba is more consistent and has more threats that you need to play around, and it's more ambiguous how you play around those. Like, so being a good player and compressing when you get stock swapped doesn't matter. The stock swap that they play gets played as a backup, which stops you from comboing. Like, you can't have a board because it gets shot by Mega Man. You have to play around 4 different, like, endgame threats. 5 if they play Eris. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I want to make one more point here, too. That would maybe put Sunshine over the edge here. Is that I think Sunshine, has one of the better AOT matchups out of the majority of the cast here. I think Gun-Gale actually has the best Attack on Titan matchup. And we can talk about that. I'll talk about that later when we get to Gun-Gale. But I think, generally speaking, the Megami deck matches up pretty poorly against Fate to Bear Aaron.
Oh, you lose.
Their whole deck. The
It's
fact
your worst
that
matchup.
the fact that Union doesn't match up well with, like, Aaron just beats Union and then says you can't get the reverse on me, and the fact that you have the Armin in the back row giving hexproof in the end game, completely denying the Megami clock shoot burn effect, I think is very relevant. Whereas Sunshine, I think, matches up actually pretty well against AOT for the reason that the Chica combo at level 1 is a suicider, meaning it's difficult for Aaron to get value off that. Because he doesn't get the pop back because he dies when he reverses it.
They also have one of the only cards at 0 that really shuts down.
Shuts down
AOT.
the runners at 0. That's another point I wasn't even gonna think of, but
Like, there are ways to play the Yoshiko where you just nullify Armin. With the way you can set your boards. I'd learned that from Kit from Burn 1. Thanks.
And finally, I think also the fact that Sunshine is probably the strongest early play strategy in English, and Attack on Titan runs little to no actual anti-change. They have win triggers, but they really don't run anti-change.
Yeah.
Maybe a one-of, and that's like a tech card.
Yeah. The bomb. That's about their only option.
That is a good point.
They have the bomb and they have the Jean, which is just a waiting room, which just gets saved by Conan. So it's like, and you have to ditch 2 cards for it, which for AOT is like a huge deal.
And when the AOT decks I see top, I just don't see those cards in them. I think they should be in there. I think it's definitely worth running anti-change in some capacity. But these lists just don't seem to have it, and I think that makes them weaker to Sunshine.
So what do we want to do here? Do we just want to go by votes? Who votes Konosuba and who votes Sunshine for number two?
It's just so hard because I think
Yeah.
Konosuba's better in general. I think.
I think Konosuba, if you take away Attack on Titan and just put Konosuba in perspective, I think Konosuba would beat Bang Dream because I think it's just stronger overall. If you don't put in the fact that Aaron would pop back to neither reverse, then Konosuba would probably sweep everything.
I think that KS actually matches up. I think Bang Dream matches up pretty favorably against Konosuba, actually. But I can get into that when we talk about Bang Dream, I guess.
Because I'm fine with putting Bang Dream or Konosuba for second.
I say it has to be. I think it has to be Konosuba. I'm going to lock that in. That's my vote. I think it has to be Konosuba. Even though it loses to AOT, I think it has to be KS.
I'll put Bang Dream.
I will say Konosuba with the caveat that I think if you're playing in a heavy AOT field or going to a regional or a larger tournament where you think there's going to be a lot of AOT, that Sunshine would maybe be the better meta call. But I think in general, Konosuba stands next to AOT at the top of the pack. So Konosuba is my lock-in.
All right. Konosuba
Brian?
for 2.
Or
Yeah, Brian said Konosuba too. He said it's...
All right, we're good. Okay, so do we want to go right into Sunshine at 3?
So we're doing Konosuba too. Is that what you guys voted for?
Yeah.
All right.
Is Sunshine the number 3 deck?
I would say Bang Dream over Sunshine.
So my thing with Bang Dream against Konosuba, I guess this is a good time to bring it up. It's kind of blue ball to everybody. I think it matches up really well against Konosuba because, ironically, because they don't hold board and don't care, and they compress so hard. You can compress unbelievably hard, especially if you're playing Cosme, crash your whole board and setting Konosuba at 3, and say, go ahead, burn me for 5, idiot. I don't have a waiting room. I don't have a deck. I have stock. Take my stock away and then give it back to me at the end of the turn. They don't care what's in their stock because they're going to pay it all out. And then you die because your Megumi's are small. You don't have ways to deny Yukina at all. And I think that's why they match up good. At least in my experience playing against Konosuba with Bang Dream, that's what I've always done.
Oh man, Carmen, our opinions on Bang Dream are so different. They're night and day, my friend.
Yeah.
It's a difference between a board, a heavy board-based player, and someone who just wants to play combo and doesn't care about board. You just compress really hard, gamble on your compression because you're a Bang Dream player, and that's what you do, and then you fucking kill them. And it's worked really well in my experience. But, that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Carmen. As you know, I personally took Konosuba to Springfest, and over half of my games were against Bang Dream, and I got a lot of that. A lot of the, seizure helps a little bit, but the rest of your options against a good player are completely nullified, and it hurts. I feel like the S tier decks are like playing one big game of rock paper scissors. Though
A 4-way game of rock paper scissors where AOT plays 2 hands at once.
Mm-hmm. No, AOT just smacks everybody else's hands and goes, "I win."
No, it's rock paper scissors between AOT, Konosuba, and the way I interpret it is it's RPS between AOT, Konosuba, and Sunshine, and then Bang Dream just comes in. And they just throw Spock, and if somebody acknowledges it, then it's fine. They can just randomly beat. Bang Dream can randomly beat any of the top tier decks because they don't interact at all until the end game turn, where I think it's easiest to play around stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say the S tier decks are one big game of rock paper scissors, except Attack on Titan is that one kid who comes in and throws gun.
Yeah.
That's a good way of doing it too.
I think I should, at this point, with everyone putting Bang Dream so high. I think I maybe should justify myself a little bit in my lower opinion of it. I think now would be a good time to do that.
Go ahead.
I think that. Thank you, Carmen. So I think that something you said earlier in the recording, Carmen, is that you think games are won in the mid game in Weiss, and I agree with that. And I think that Bang Dream, out of these top tier decks, and I guess we can include Sword Art in them. I included in there. I just don't think Bang Dream has a threatening mid game. I don't think it definitely loses board in the mid game, and I just don't think it sets up necessarily very well for its end game. I disagree with the fact that it compresses well. I think the deck is mediocre at compression. I wouldn't consider that a strength of Bang Dream. And in my experience, at least, you know, which is opposite of what Tyler has said he experienced, is I find that I win more versus Bang Dream than other series, and I find that their finisher just doesn't get there. You kind of spend the whole game losing board and bleeding hand and constantly having to replay things and set up for this big finish turn, and when it doesn't work out, you're just stuck and you lose.
Bang Dream's definitely a push all your chips in, stand at the edge of the table. But
I would challenge any of you, and to tell me I'm wrong when I say that the deck has the weakest mid game. I think it has the weakest mid game out of any of the A tiers even.
I think that's categorically false. Like, all their events are too good. Their deck manipulation is too good. When I talk about games being won in the mid game, I'm talking about milling your deck and setting up your compression. Bang Dream keeps clean and compresses and mills through its deck better than anything I think I've ever played, other than maybe Sunshine. Like, Sunshine and Konosuba. Konosuba does it in a different way. Sunshine is sort of all in. They get to the end the fastest. But I think Bang Dream has the best sort of give and take between getting what it needs and milling at the same time to get there. Like, all their events are busted. They have, like, a super cheap stock swap that they can always pull off, that they can do it to. Like, I don't know. Like, I really disagree that they have great early plays. Like, I just really...
Do they?
I think so. In terms of their strategy, I think their early plays are good. In terms of getting into what they want and, like, just winning attacks on their turn. Like, Tanabata Pair is hella underrated. That card's great. But, I don't know. I disagree that their mid-game is bad. I think their mid-game is amazing, and that's why they should be so high. I don't think the swing back... You like, shit on Bang Dream because you think you prioritize the swing back and how you deal with the swing back. I think that when you're playing Bang Dream and you're playing Bang Dream to win, you don't care about the swing back at all, and that's your biggest strength, that you're a fishbowl deck. The fact that you don't give a shit what happens on your opponent's turn at all. You can literally just go sit in your phone and look up when it's over, and it doesn't really matter at all. And I don't know. I think puking into a cup and drinking it again is a pretty good mid-game when you want to play the same cards all the time. Like, you just
I think that works when things are going well. I played a lot of Bang Dream myself, too. And I think when games are going well, and everything's going your way, and your opponent's taking damage how they should be, and they're not canceling every other attack, and you're not getting completely screwed, yeah, I think the deck, can vomit in the cup and drink it.
But I think
But
any of
in
these
the games where your opponent just cancels and draws it out, I think the weakness of the deck, just bleeding hand, really shows through.
I don't.
I think Bang Dream filters very well. I think they have some of the best search tools, some of the best filtering tools, and some of the best milling tools.
I don't get the bleeding hand thing. I don't get that criticism at all. I've never had, like, a real bleed hand issue until after my Yukina turn. Maybe then, when you have to pitch all your cards in hand to combo. But, like, up until that point, I, like, regularly go oversized without thinking. Like, it's easy to go oversized in Bang Dream without even thinking about it. I don't think they hurt for hand at all. Like, I don't know where's that criticism coming from. Like, I'm genuinely intrigued. I'm not trying to be combative, but like, I don't know where that criticism is coming from at all.
It's just maybe personal experience. Like today when we were playing Carmen, our game earlier today.
I don't know.
It
I
got to
wouldn't
the
count
end.
that.
Even though you won that game, I still think that if you looked at our hand and board state at the end of the game, you had nothing in your hand.
I was also out 5 on turn 1. So
And if you wouldn't have canceled 6 turns in a row,
I was out 5 on turn 1 and was able to pitch everything in my hand and get to my next deck fast enough to cancel. And I think that's Bang Dream's. That's Bang Dream's strength.
I think resetting is their big strength. If they have a bad deck, they can reset it quickly.
Yeah, I think that's
which
strong.
is good, but I think that when that doesn't work out and you just...
I think it's hard for it to not work out.
If I can butt in here, I think I want to agree more with Carmen here. I think Bang Dream has a pretty solid mid game, but I think one of its biggest strengths is the fact that it's a jack of all trades set where it has so many viable mid game options that some of the time you don't even know what to prepare for. Like if you don't know if you're against Yukina, you could prepare for Maguro Lisa, or to prepare for the Christmas Cosme and the Remy Runner package. They have so many viable mid game options that some of the time you don't even know what you're in for.
And now
I disagree with that. I think that stuff is completely transparent. You should see the climaxes they're playing. You should see the cards they're going through as they mill and as you hit them for damage. You should be able to piece together what they're playing.
I don't even think that part matters at all. I don't think that you can't do anything about what they do. If they're playing Cosme, that means they're giving up deck slots to be able to swing bigger on their turn to clear your shit. And they're probably playing the new Cosme Bomb too. If we're talking about holding board, the Cosme Bomb is the secret to Bang Dream holding board going forward. That thing is fucking broken. It can go to 4 or 5 on its own. Like, answers the other on reverse, like shit. Like, card is so good against Attack on Titan. Like, that's the main reason to play. And you can run it in the Maguro build too, because you run enough red. Like, you have to run Bride to turn off backups. Oh, and if we want to talk about, like, the ability for Bang Dream to bust on AOT or Sal when it comes to money counter and stuff like that. Oh, no backups in events. Saya exists. I think that's a big feather in their cap when it comes to their finisher too. Like, I don't know. I've just really never experienced this hand bleed problem unless I'm playing weird builds and get super out, in which I'd bleed hand in any deck because Weiss is a fun game that's based completely in skill with absolutely no luck, like any other card game. Sometimes there are those games where you can't recover, and Andy, our game today, I'd say that is one of them. Like, there are those games where you just don't get back.
Well, you splash yellow, you play the Kokoro combo, and you +6.
Yeah.
Oh my god, stop.
But yeah, I don't know. So what?
I don't want people listening to this to think that I hate Bang Dream or that I think it's a bad set. I think it's undeniably top tier. Well, screw you, Tyler. I think Bang Dream's a great set, but you do make some good points and have swayed me a little bit. But I do stand by my statement that I think it has the weakest mid game out of the top decks.
I mean, if we're ordering the rest of the S tier here, I would argue that it is Sunshine at 3 and then Bang Dream at 4.
I have no qualms with that. That's what I was going to pitch. I don't think there's much of a contest.
I think that's a very fair assessment.
Well, I guess I'm outvoted.
Well, let's put Sunshine up at 3, because we're agreeing with that, right? So let's talk about Bang Dream versus Sal. Let's move down the ratchet one more. I think these sets are similarly toolboxy. I would definitely give Sal the better toolbox, but I think Bang Dream has...
I would say that Bang Dream's just outdoing Sword Art at the moment for their tools, because Bang Dream is getting so many sets, while Sword Art's sitting at 0 for quite some time. They're finally getting Alicization. And
Which is like
Bang
an
Dream
extra booster.
gets a new set every 3 months.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
I think if we're comparing Sal and Bang Dream, if we want to talk about how the decks play, like, Sal has better options to, you know, like, survive swing back, right? And mess with your opponent's turn. But if we're talking about playing a clean game into a big finisher, Bang Dream does it better because their finisher is more effective and they have more tools because they have a stock swap and a Fumio. Like,
Yeah,
nobody talks about the Orisa Fumio. You have both. Having both is what made that 3-choose-1. Like, that's why there's a Bang Dream ban list, is the fact that there is a stock swap and a Fumio in the same set.
The Fumio's not as good as Konosuba, though. That's why I think Konosuba's so good.
But
Because
it
the
exists.
Fumio's
The fact that
broken.
it exists, the fact that it exists, and you have both, and you can do both for 3. That's why. That's what put Bang Dream on the 3-choose-1.
I mean, OG Love Live has a Fumio and a Shuffleback 2 Fumio and a stock swap. You don't see anyone talking about OG Love Live.
That's true. Well, not yet. Let's see if we get that third set.
Not yet. Later on.
It's the secret S.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have to give it to Bang Dream here after playing like both sets. Like, Sal's feather, I think, is that it has 2 very viable destructive archetypes, but I think that Bang Dream has so many archetypes, so many packages, and the fact that it matches up so well against the other 3 without doing anything different. What do you do different when you play against AOT, Konosuba, or Sunshine? When you play Bang Dream against AOT, you prioritize playing your Cosme Bomb. What else do you do? Who cares? Like, the fact that they don't give a shit about about the decks above them or the decks below them. They just don't care about what's in front of them. When you're playing Sal, you have to care. Like, you can't just ignore what your opponent's playing when you're playing Sal.
That is true. I do think
That's a good
Bang
point,
Dream has
yeah.
a better Attack on Titan matchup for the sheer fact that it doesn't care what the opponent's doing, where Sal really contends for board and needs to win board, and getting win triggered or getting run over by something, like losing a battle, is like a lot more damaging, whereas Bang Dream, they know they're going to lose on board, so they can set up better for it.
Sal
that
also
makes
has
sense.
to spend a lot of stock to get its really good effects, whereas Bang Dream does not. It does similar things for free.
I think that Sal is stronger in a vacuum and applies more immediate pressure at level 1, but it is very easy to disrupt in some ways. Decks with a lot of win triggers, for example.
You're talking from the standby side.
I'm talking from the standby side. I think if we're looking at the Zekken Shot build, I think the Zekken Shot build matches up better against Sunshine, for the reason that your Zekken Yuki sits at level 2 and completely shuts down both the Ruby 2 Soul and the Chica Suicider combo. I think that's a very good matchup.
Because they can't side you profitably if you're level 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is hard, but I still think I have to.
Like,
give it to
I
Bang
think
Dream.
Sal has two good builds, and I think they're both very different and do very different things.
Oh, for sure, because I don't like standby switch, but I love Zek and Last Shot.
Zekken Shot seems uber consistent to me.
Yeah.
Standby Switch seems a lot more powerful in terms of potential, in terms of, like, if you high roll with it.
Yeah. Standby switch is a lot more luck based with hitting your standbys.
Yeah, the reason I personally prefer Zekken Shot over Standby Switch
Is the consistency.
it's solely in Yuki's hands. It's the fact that Yuki searches 2 and can help you cancel more on your first deck if you aren't completely unlucky and draw immediately into all of your climaxes.
And the good thing about that, at least, is that she doesn't need to reverse. You can side attack and still do the combo.
Yuki doesn't need to reverse either, yeah.
And it's off of bar, so
yeah, you're always getting
very likely to get it. You know, you're not going to whiff on it like you might with Bang Dream or Attack on Titan, like you're always going to get your combo off,
Yeah.
no matter what.
The big thing with Yuki is that while Bang Dream mills out its deck before attacks, Yuki rips 3 cards out of your deck. On first deck, Yuki's so good because she sets up your next turn. She rips 3 cards out and filters your hand for 1 stock. That's the best thing about Yuki. She compresses
100%.
you in a meaningful way while plussing you and filtering you on first deck, which I think is a similar... It's tied to a climax, unlike Konosuba's Ambush Union, but I think it's a similar level of like being able to be so good on first deck is its like main relevant thing, and I think that's why, even though Last Shot isn't great, they have the Yui stock swap, and they have that tool at 1, and like because Last Shot is just an instance of damage for 2 in a card, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
I still think I have to hand it to Bang Dream here, though. Like, again, it just doesn't care. The fact that it doesn't care. It's the fishbowl deck.
Yeah, like I said when I was going over my tier list, I think the reason I put Sword Art so low is due to the fact that their best finisher is Last Shot, which burns for 4. I think...
I'm still keeping in mind that they're getting a Musashi.
That's what I was about to say. I think with the addition of the Musashi and Alicization, I think that will help the finishing power of Sword Art, the Zek and Last Shot build tremendously.
Because you'll want to like double Musashi Last Shot for the last turn or something.
Yeah, but I think for the time being, I think Bang Dream has Sword Art beat.
All right, Bang Dream at 4. Are we in agreement here?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So
then what? Sword Art at 5.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have convinced me. Sword Art is in the S tier.
We're putting it in the S tier. It's fine by me. Yeah.
That's what I like to hear, boys.
Yeah, I don't have any qualms with that. All right, so is this our S tier? Nothing we want to add? No Log Horizon?
It was a close call, but I think
Log Horizon might have to be a little higher than Attack on Titan.
All right, yeah. Let's take a minute. Let's take a minute to discuss Log Horizon, shall we?
No.
Oh my god.
All right, so
let's talk about a really bad set for a second.
All right, so let's talk about A. Let's talk about the A tier. Where do we even want to start with the A tier?
I think ReZero or Persona or Review is a good place to start.
We could start with Persona.
Persona is just
calling card.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
It's literally calling card.
The loopable event.
And Ryuji Joker.
Yeah, you can loop calling card. And the fact, I think Ryuji, as opposed to On, is the better finisher in P5, just due to the fact that he completely clears a lane, which helps Joker so much.
Yeah.
What's the On finisher do?
The On finisher.
I don't have too much experience with the two. Just give me a brief.
On finisher is she does the Mikasa thing on play, so she gets up to something like 11. She combos with a gate and gives herself power. Then on reverse, ping 1, stock yourself, give yourself a stock from waiting room. Choose a thief character. Ryuji is on climax play, ditch a card from your hand, bounce a character, choose a character, give them on cancel, burn 1.
Oh hell yeah, that's better.
Persona 5 has a really good zero line too. I think their zero line, we didn't talk a lot about zero lines when we were talking about Bang Dream, but like I think zeros were another thing that helped, push me over on Bang Dream versus Sal. And I think that's
I think all those top decks have fantastic zero games.
Yeah,
I think that's something that separates them from everything below.
Relating
zero games are all fire.
Relating this to Persona 5 though, they have like a free runner and a Futaba. That's such a good. The Futaba is such a good beater lineup.
The Futaba profile is amazing.
Yeah, that's the best oversize that exists in Weiss. Is a level 1/3/5.
That and obviously Ryuji's a key card too.
Andy markers, like the fact that Futaba markers and you don't have to marker makes it an oversize that's relevant later in the game, which not many oversizes can say.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can top check with it, right?
Yeah, you can top check and leave the card. Which is also relevant for stuff like Joker. If you want to put cards at the bottom to set your Joker and stuff like that, you want to know what they are. All sorts of stuff.
I kind of want to expand and talk about some of the other A tier decks for a second here. You guys all talked about your opinions on A tier decks. I kind of didn't mention them when I was going over my tier list. I kind of just want to briefly touch on them now.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
okay. I think that so for my list, I had Contai at the top, then P5, then ReZero, then Gungale, then Review. That was my A tier. I think that Contai and P5 and ReZero are all really strong, really consistent strategies that are, almost at that S tier, but they just don't do anything like that really makes them threatening. Overly threatening, I guess. And the reason I had Gungale and Review in there, I don't think those sets are as strong as the other ones, but I think they're very strong anti-meta picks. For the fact that Gungale, I think, has the best Attack on Titan matchup out of any deck because of the smokescreen, the 2/1 smokescreen card that denies ping. And I also think that gives it a really good Sunshine matchup, too, because you deny the ability for the Sunshine player to set up their Yo burns. And it cancels Yo burns for 1 and Musashi burns, so also that. So I think Gungale is a very strong counter pick to Attack on Titan and Sunshine. And I think that Review also is a strong counter pick to Sunshine because of their level assist that lets them clock change their opponent during their main phase. Meaning any early play of the clock condition fails against this deck. So the broken Mirai Ticket combo, or things like Dead Native Dame, or whatever the early play Aqua is in the Konosuba deck, fail
Eris.
against that strategy.
Eris.
Not Eris, but there's an
Eris,
Aqua,
that's Eris.
Mesmerizing Goddess.
No,
Mesmerizing
that's
Goddess. Early play conditions
It's
full
Eris.
field on that
Eris. That's
Oh,
Eris's
is it?
condition.
Oh, my bad. But it stops the Eris deck. And I think that you're running the 8 win trigger deck, so you're inherently strong against anything that's standbying, like standby switch, or anything that's really trying to hold field. So I think those are both really strong anti-meta picks, but I think are overall weaker than the other A tier and S tier decks.
I think if we're gonna talk about what's at the top of A tier, I think it has to be between Contai and P5. I don't think there's any sort of context, like sort of contest there. I think it's definitely between those two. Now that I think about it, I really want to hand it to Contai, just because I think it's a deck that, if you're a good player, it's one of those decks that can really reward you for being good at the game. Sort of the way that AOT is. Like, understanding how card interactions are, knowing where your cards are. The fact that they have so much free access to mill. They're missing things like Brainstorm, but they don't care about Brainstorm. They're monsters at plussing on first deck, which is something that not a lot of decks have. Like, plussing and manipulating in a meaningful way on first deck. If you want to talk about decks that hold field, Contai's the king. I guess queen. They're all women. But Contai's like the queen of Weiss, of holding board. They hold board better than any other deck. Better than Standby Switch, I think. Like, their act stuff is ridiculous. Imagine if they had a free 2K costless backup. They only have like a 15, and they don't even need it. That's how big their act, like, pluses go. Prinz is uninteractive. Thins your deck. Walls and pluses at the same time. The deck doesn't need a ton of stock. What the hell is the name of the finisher off the gate?
Kashima.
Okay.
The Kashima finisher's pretty good too.
The fact that you can, and again, we're talking about a deck that rewards a player who's like a good player and understands everything. Like, understands everything basically about, like, you know, how to be good at Weiss, how to, like, kill your opponent, understanding how to, like, best take advantage of your opponent's deck state. The fact that Kashima modulates damage, and you have, like, Musashis, and Kashima and Musashis are your end game, and it's off, like, gate. I think, like, that alone as the top end, combined with such a strong, like, game, like, Contai's, like, so close to being S tier. It's missing, like, just a few things. It's like right on the fringe for me. Like, I have to hand it to Contai over P5. I think P5 is really solid, and it does some things that Contai doesn't. Like, playing a level 2 combo at level 1 is just really strong. Like, that's not an effect we see a lot in English, or at least not yet. I guess we'll see more when Bang Dream Set 2 comes out. They have the, like, what is it? The Shiraha clone combos, which we don't see a lot of in English yet, but we will.
Yeah.
But they still do something like that isn't seen a lot in English, which is why they're so notable. But I really have to hand it to Contai. I don't know if anybody else has any other experience with that.
I have no experience of Kantai, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah, I agree that in a vacuum, the concept of Kantai is good, but I have very low exposure to the deck.
I played a good bit of it at Springfest. And I lost to it. And beat it. So, like, I don't know. I think the deck's super good. I've, like, played with Drew a good bit, too. I've played Drew's deck. It's definitely very different than the other good decks in Weiss. You play it a lot different. Your tools are very different. But I don't think that's, like, a hit against the set. I think the set is still, like, very strong, has strong effects, has Ricky's, has Akatsuki, has the Akatsuki. All those good filtering tools and stuff like that. I think I have to have it handed to Contai for top of A.
I would agree with that.
I think
You pretty
that's
much
fair.
summed up my opinion on it.
Queen of Holding Field gets the first slot in A. Anybody want to argue something to be over P5? I think that's pretty clean cut, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say that that's just number 2 on A.
I'd say so.
All right.
I just
P5
think
at
it's the
2.
next best deck after Contai.
So here's where it gets pretty interesting. ReZero, GGO, RevView. I don't think we're in contention for anything else in A right now, are we?
Not really.
I don't think so, no.
I gotta go back and check.
Yeah, I have
The tier list we all made.
I have Gurren
Because
Lagann
Brian,
sprinkled in
your
there.
A tier is so big.
Yeah, I have Gurren Lagann sprinkled in there, but I feel like all of these decks are roughly the same power level depending on the build.
You have
So-
No Game No Life into Lover up there too.
Well, I said that I'd probably move those down to high B were I to remake this tier list.
Oh, okay.
I feel
You,
like
you redeemed yourself there.
I feel like that it's definitely between GGO and ReZero for spot 3. And
I think
the other
ReZero.
one,
I
the other
was gonna
one
say
comes
ReZero
right
as well.
after. Because again, I think I want to go back to what I said on mine. I think these are the two most prominent and effective grind game strategies. For just playing cards with better card quality and grinding out the game and healing. But ReZero has more destructive, like more impactful tools
Yeah,
to do that.
ReZero has so many good utility cards at level 0.
Remember when like everyone was making GGO decks when the set first came out, and we were all super excited for like the double early play, and we were heralding it as Sunshine Junior, and then we all played against it and we're like, wait, this kind of sucks. It just gets
Yeah.
run over and dies and doesn't really do anything.
The fact that the Fuka does nothing and you have to neg so hard to hand to get the pings for the Len, and you only heal 1 for the whole interaction. You pay 3. It's pay 3, ditch 2 to get the burn on the turn you play it. And they don't even get big enough to, like, feasibly protect with your tools unless you're playing like a gloves engine with the that 1-0 backup that pumps for the amount of stock, but you probably penned out your amount. You already probably paid out all your stock to play these early plays. You have to dedicate cards to setting up the early play condition, which isn't many, maybe 1 or 2, but still, like, and then you're clocking level 3s. You're like removing soul triggers from your deck, like.
Yeah.
You're like doing all these suboptimal things where I think ReZero naturally, like, it goes into its first deck clean as fuck because Amelia Magro is ridiculous and all their 0 cards are like unbelievably high quality. So you go into your first deck super set, you play your Rems immediately, mill through your next deck and then, like, I don't know, play your felt or set up your finisher turn. Like, or not finisher turn, but like set up your last deck where you just cancel every single fucking attack and never die. Like, and I say this all the time, and it's mostly a joke, but ReZero's biggest hit against it as a deck is the fact that Weiss is on a time limit.
I do agree with that.
Like, both outside the game, as in, like, you have 30 minutes into turns, and the fact that there is a thing in the game called damage, where you have a clock, where if you're not free fetching with Feld every time, even if you cancel every attack, you are taking one when you refresh.
Yeah.
Like, you're on two different kinds of clocks, and I think that's what ReZero really loses to. I don't know. I felt a lot worse when my early plays got answered when I was playing GGO than I did when I was playing ReZero. Because in ReZero, I was never out or in such a bad of a situation where I couldn't find another Rem with one of my ridiculous zero tools, and then play another one.
It's a lot less committal, right?
Yeah.
Rem, you just kind of play her down, you get your heal, you swing, and whatever happens. You either run away with the game or she dies and whatever. Whereas with Gun-Gale, you're kind of devoting more resources to setting up this field, and it hurts more when they bust it.
I'm so much more afraid of seeing Felt and Rem drop down with a Bath Time Amelia in the back row than seeing Buka and Len pop down with the anti-ping in the back. It's just like a such worse version of those two cards. But if you don't answer both Felt and Rem, you lose. Like, those cards generate so much value if they live one turn. I don't know.
I think Gun-Gale has such an absurdly good Attack on Titan matchup, though.
With the anti-ping?
You have the anti-ping, right? Which stops their top-end combo completely. And then at level 1, you have a combo at level 1 off of the
Gate.
suicide. There's like a suicide Len, the Pink Devil. It's on attack, you draw a card, and it's a suicider, meaning
it's reveal.
You don't need to reverse their Aaron.
Yeah.
To get your plus, and their Aarons have to swing into your suiciders.
Yeah. They have
and Attack on Titan doesn't really play anti-change, so your early plays are pretty safe.
Yeah. I think that directed sort of quote-unquote hate, it's not really directed hate. It's like Bushiroad not knowing what they're doing. But the way the set has directed hate against AOT is what makes it weaker than ReZero overall. It's that directed techiness that makes it as a weaker grind deck than ReZero is.
I think ReZero is the stronger deck, like, generally speaking, but
especially after
I think Gun-Gale's definitely worth mentioning. I think it's definitely the next best after ReZero, for the sheer fact that it can be such a good tournament deck because the ability to hedge against the best deck like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's ReZero at 3 here. I agree.
Yeah. I agree with that too, yep.
All right.
Yeah.
GGO right after. I don't think we have any qualms with that.
I think that's fine.
I think that's fair, yeah.
So I guess that puts Review right at 5. We want to get into why it's there. I think that, like,
it lacks in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I said that before. It's just like it has the zero game. Zero game, amazing. And finisher, ridiculous. Mid game, I want to cry. Shimakaze is so bad right now. Like, it's just it's the worst combo that you should have to rely on. The fact that their standby engine doesn't plus is so bad. Like, ugh.
The Calrico build too, if you want the good finisher, it forces you into not being able to run standby. It kind of forces you in this one direction where you need so many Calricos and what's the other Futaba to ditch at the end for the effect that you can't tech in a lot of other characters. You kind of just have to run the 8-win build.
Like, I don't know. BoatsDon'tSink himself was tooling with a lot of builds that ran standby to help you conserve stock. But stock was never the problem in my issue with playing a deck. If you're aiming to play 2 Calrucos, the dream playing 3, you need 9 stock to get there. You really need to have like stars need to align. You need to get 2 extra turns in the mid game to get there really, to like at least keep up, or you need to like get a change off or stuff like that with their 2-1. But if you're aiming to play 2, the stock isn't the issue. It's the selectivity. You need specific cards to go off. So you can't just like have those kind of combos that just randomly plus you and be okay with it. Because their zeros are great, but they don't turn into specific cards. They just turn cards into other cards. They filter and mill super well, but only the Mahiru, where you have to mill and hit a climax, really selectively filters you. The rest of them just kind of sort of filter you for something else.
That's true, yeah.
Which is fine if your level 1 was good enough, but it's not. It's a Shimakaze. Like, it's just not good enough. I do think it's the best set that relies on one of those kind of combos, though. Like, bar none.
Yeah.
Like, what's it competing with? Like, Apocrypha and Gurren Lagann? Like, I think it's just straight better than both those sets.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said before, I think the anti-meta potential of having 8 win triggers and the clock change level assist
Like, barring...
make it deserve a spot in A tier.
Getting a second or third set, Review or Contai are the first sets to jump up to S.
For sure, yeah.
Without a doubt. Like, and Review, we're going to get it in Ing. Like, it's going to happen, and it's going to have something.
Do they have a set 2 in JP?
It's announced.
They're
no
getting
spoilers
it.
yet.
It is?
We don't even know what's in it yet. But
Okay.
And the thing with the Kalruku deck is you can go any of the 3 colors really for your level 1 and feel okay. If it's only 4 cards and 1 climax and the rest of them can be Futabas and Kalrukus, you're pretty much fine. It's when you have to dedicate to the whole standby engine that you run into issues.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's move on to B.
Right.
Contenders for top spot in B. Fate, Apocrypha, and Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it has to be Apocrypha.
Here I am, the dark horse again. I had Apocrypha at the bottom of B tier.
Where did I have it?
Yeah, where did
I had it at middle of C.
I don't know, dude.
So maybe it deserves discussion. Why do Carmen? Why do you and Brian think the set is so good, and then why do me and Tyler think it's less good?
Number 1, 2 very viable, equivalently good archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
Like practically mono red standby gate, and then book gate. Both of which are very good. Standby gate is probably better. They have a ridiculous promo, which is just a 2/1/2 soul that sits at like 9/5 or something like that. So it's like this big standby beater that you don't feel bad about playing from hand, which is the biggest problem with those.
Oh, it's
targets.
the chibi red saber, right?
The chibi, the chibi saber of red. Their bomb combo is pretty good. It's like a pay 1+ on attack, so it's not interactive. The semi bomb is just like super good. It's like a 3K bomb. Like the smaller your bomb, usually the better it is. But 3K is good enough to like, with some of your power pump abilities, still answers like shitter zeros and leftovers well enough. And just like the saber finisher is so good. It's all about damage modulation off gate, off a heal finisher. They have all the good zero tools. They have like a really good salvage Ricky. They have Karen. They have literally Karen. Like the one saber of red is literally Karen, the card that everybody freaked out about as the best Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Apocrypha already had it. Like they just have all the tools.
What's Karen?
Scry 1, or it's Surveil. Then I don't.
Oh, the Ricky.
Yeah, the Ricky is like Surveil, and then you can Ricky, or you can Ricky and then Surveil. Like you choose the order, and then they happen in. The saber might be Scry, but I mean effectively for how it interacts with the Ricky, it's the same thing. The Surveil's a little better because you can put the card into the waiting room if it's something you need to grab off the salvage Ricky. And I don't know, they just have a ton of really high quality zeros across the board. Astolfo is just another, it's like mini Aaron. it's not as good.
Yeah.
But it denies reverses, sets into a good early play that holds board. He bounces back to hand. Then you clock the Astolfo and play big Astolfo. And then big Astolfo is like a 14k on your opponent's turn. Or gives 4k somewhere. Just like basically
Big Astolfo is really good.
Unreversible on your opponent's turn. Like, I don't know. I've played against Paul with that deck a lot. Like Paul Hunter. And like, I don't know. I've definitely seen the truth of that deck. That deck is consistent. Like, Astolfo's not great, right? But that deck is very consistent in doing what it wants to do. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the standby build much because, like, Paul hasn't put together, mostly because those chibi Saber of Reds are so expensive and so hard to get a hand on because nobody wants to sell them.
Yeah.
But I still think that build is super, super good. Like, their card quality is just better in my experience than Gurren Lagann's, which is saying something because Gurren Lagann has some pretty good card quality too. But I don't know. I think Apocrypha is just more consistent. And the big clincher here is that Saber of Red with damage modulation and off, I guess they're both off gate. It's just better than Sunder, like straight up.
Yeah. Okay. I do agree. I mean, I think my opinion on this matter comes more from a personal experience point of view. Similar to Contact, I don't have a ton of experience in the matchup against Apocrypha, but in the few games that I do have against it, I found myself having significantly more trouble than I do in my games against Gurren Lagann. I feel like in Gurren Lagann, especially if we're talking about the Sunder build, which I feel like is the quote-unquote meta build for Gurren Lagann.
Shot gate Sunder is the meta build.
Yeah, Kamina into the Sunder combo. I feel like the Apocrypha finisher is just significantly more consistent than trying to get all the pieces together and hoping everything lines up for your Sunder.
They also have a bunch of cards that, like, flipping a card face down means nothing to Apocrypha, and it's evaluated by Bushiroad as being a meaningful cost, which makes, like, all those cards that interact with that, like, naturally, like, overstated, I think. That's another big thing.
You mean all two of them?
They're both really relevant. Really, really relevant, I think.
I'm going to jump in here now. That's one of the reasons I think Apocrypha isn't the best in B tier, is because of how underexplored the level flip mechanic is. It's a very similar mechanic to something in Vanguard, actually, where you flip your cards face down to get effects. And I think that would have been really cool if they could have implemented that more. And I was very disappointed to see that there was really only 2, maybe 3 cards that dealt with that effect.
I think those cards are so
in
good,
Apocrypha.
though.
I think they're all right.
That Archer of Black.
There's the Archer.
Super,
What's he do? He flips
good.
a card face down and looks at the top 4?
No, he salvages. He flips a card face down, pitch a card, salvage a card. It's just like free filter. Free selective filter, basically.
It's not a plus, though.
I think that's fine, though, because what would you have to do to... Okay, it's a free drop salvage, put it that way. Stock free drop salvage. I think that's super good.
It's like on a 5k body, though.
And, like, again, it's the fact that you can modulate the damage.
I do like the Clarent Saber of Red finisher. I really do like that.
Heal finishers are... Oh, and it gets massive. It's a heal finisher that gets massive and stays massive on your opponent's turn. Those feel so good to play. Like, the fact that it holds board after it burns in a way that you set up, like, specifically to burn the optimal way on your opponent's deck state, and then it sits at 13-5 before any buffs or backups. And they also have, like, all the good, like, they have, like, a bottom decker anti-change backup. They have, like, a bottom decker bomb. They have, like, all the good, like, tools to answer the good decks with in Apocrypha. Whereas in Gurren Lagann, I know they have the Kamina bomb, but I haven't really seen anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm like Brian. I just have very little experience playing against Apocrypha and a ton of experience playing against Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, I feel like
maybe that's why I rate Gurren Lagann a bit higher, but I just think that Gurren Lagann can set up some immediately threatening boards with its early plays, where Apocrypha, I just don't really see that. I think the Clarent finisher is pretty good, but it's just pretty good. I don't think it's like anything special. Like, you're not playing Apocrypha because the Clarent finisher is so great.
But it's a consistent finisher that holds board, unlike
Right.
Thunder. I think that if we're talking about mid games, I personally would give the edge to Apocrypha, like 0, 1, and 2. However, Gurren Lagann's is probably, like, barring my own bias, equivalently good. But in comparison to Sunder versus Saber, Saber's on attack. It is a heal on attack burn that you control for a very manageable cost that walls on your opponent's turn. Sunder does literally none of those things and is much less consistent to set up. How many times have you seen Zach brick Sunder?
Quite a few.
Yeah, like, it happens. It's hard. It's not trivial to set up.
Hmm.
Saber is trivial. I think that puts it over. I think they're very equivalent. Like, barring my bias, I have bias for Apocrypha, but I don't think you can deny Clarent versus Sunder. I think it's firmly in Clarent's favor.
Yeah. I guess now that we're talking about it, I feel like No Game No Life is a similar power level to Apocrypha and Gurren Lagann. I feel like No Game No Life could slot in.
I feel like we're so biased because of Andy and Andy's build.
Maybe, but I mean, it's not even Andy's build.
I don't think No Game No Life's that good.
I personally, I really like the level 1 Sora shot combo into standby finisher is my deck of choice in No Game No Life.
I think that's technically the quote unquote meta build. Is it
I
not?
think
I don't know. I've seen a lot more of the blue yellow.
Yeah. I
Blue
really
yellow
like
build
the
I
blue.
play.
I like the blue yellow list.
But that's what reminded me. We were talking about customizable damage finishers, and the Steph finisher off of standby came to mind.
Standby off a finisher is so good though. It doesn't makes you not able to overswing. But I don't know. I still think it's between Apocrypha and Gurren Lagann here for top spot.
I think you might be right, but I think No Game No Life is pretty close behind.
Yeah, I think it's very, very close between these three. But I mean, I'm putting my vote in for Apocrypha. I'm locking in.
Tyler, do you have any thoughts?
No, I have no experience in Apocrypha whatsoever.
You've played some Gurren Lagann though. What's your?
For Gurren Lagann, I mean, from what you guys were talking about with Apocrypha, I would agree that it sounds stronger and more consistent than Gurren Lagann, because you can break the Sunder. It's never happened when people played against me, but that's not the point. I think it still would just be more consistent overall.
Yeah, but it is kind of a tough comparison to make when you have a lot of experience against one set like Gurren Lagann and very little against another set like Apocrypha.
I've only played one game against Kyle of Apocrypha.
Yeah,
so
it really comes down to personal experience for me, where I just seem to have a harder time against Apocrypha. Maybe it's just because I've played against it less, but I'm not sure.
I think that's why I feel like I do better against Konosuba, because me and Brian just grind those games out.
I want to go ahead and put my vote in here for Gurren Lagann. I'm going to lock that in. I just think whenever Apocrypha's doing level shenanigans and flipping cards up and down, I just don't care. It never matters to me, and I just am never threatened by it. But when Zach sets up major field compression, all this marker compression, and these huge 10k robots at level 2 that I can't get over.
All right, that got me on the Gurren Lagann, but yeah.
I might be there too. The field compression in Gurren Lagann.
The field compression is super, super unique. Apocrypha does a good job of compressing normally, though. Mostly because it doesn't have to, like, pay out stock to do its effects. Because instead of paying stock, you're flipping a card.
So who's number 1 in B slot?
I think I'm gonna have to say Gurren Lagann at this point.
Me too.
Wow, I convinced you guys that easily. Just mention Zach being
Well,
good
the-
with the deck.
The
and that's-
robots and the field compression.
They
That's
are.
not me.
The field compression had completely slipped my mind, but that is
Yeah.
that is a huge factor.
The field compression. My vote's still for Apocrypha, but 3-1. I concede. Field compression is super unique, relevant. Or what are we doing here? Apocrypha, then no game. Is that where we're at?
I think
here?
Log Horizon.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
shut
Oh
up.
my god.
Is
Hold
it
on,
time
hold
to
on.
is it time to talk Log Horizon?
No, not yet. So Apocrypha, no game here. Is that what
That
we
sounds
wanna
good.
do?
Yeah.
At least Apocrypha. We can talk about. No.
What about Batman Ninja?
That was in low C for me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think it's anywhere near being talked about.
Yeah, I put it low B, but I think there are still decks that are more relevant than Batman that we have to talk about.
I think B tier is a safe spot to put Batman, especially since it like just came out, and it doesn't have a lot of results yet. But I think there's a lot of potential there, with the ability to deny reverses in an Attack on Titan fashion, and generally just having pretty decent combos, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the villain deck's pretty strong. They have the last shot finisher. They just play a pretty strong game from start to finish, I feel.
I disagree entirely. That villain deck might be fun to play, but it's not effective. It's all the bad parts of playing Sal with none of the good parts, like second shot.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah,
I think
it's,
that's a little bit harsh.
Oh, I think it's
Cut Batman some slack.
I think it's harsh, but completely true.
I mean, Sword Art doesn't have the Penguin, but
Setting Penguin aside.
I don't know. I don't think Batman's up this high. As
I think there are. Let me see. I would argue that at least Disgaea and Sakura are above Batman still.
I would
Disgaea.
I would
What?
agree entirely.
I have things to say about Disgaea.
I think Idolmaster is better than Batman by a
You
considerable
put
margin.
oh man, you did put Disgaea up in B tier.
I put this guy at top of D.
I have Disgaea down in the Haruhi tier.
Disgaea is most certainly not the Haruhi tier.
All right, back on topic here. Apocrypha, no game for our next two.
I
Yeah,
guess.
that sounds fine.
I agree.
I think either no game or card captor.
Yeah,
I would
do we
concede
wanna
that Batman should be lower, but I think card captor's like still pretty solid.
do we want to move right from here to C? Is there anything else that's relevant in B that you think we should talk about? Because I think like the
Where would
things
you?
in C, like the things in C that could possibly move up. Let's identify those. Excel World, Batman, Card Captor, possibly
To Loveru?
yeah, to Loveru, possibly Muse Meta.
I like Muse Meta. I put that in my B tier.
Like
It has
I
been
think
And it's only gonna get better if we get the
the new set.
yeah,
new
but,
set.
I mean we can't talk about that now. Because,
That's true.
But, like, I don't know. I feel like I don't feel comfortable putting anything else in B. I feel like it would be the top of C. I feel like after no game there is a noticeable dip.
yeah.
In
Wait,
I
so-
guess that's fair.
So do you? I don't see your screen, Carmen. But do you have Gurren Lagann, Apocrypha, no game, and that's it?
yes, in B.
I would argue that I think card captor's up there after no game.
I mean, I could. There's definitely one of those that I just said. I think that would be in B, and I think Card Captor's fine. Card Captor has good tools. They wall hard. They lose like really hard to like bounce and wind and stuff like that because they invest so much stock on board. But like,
Oh, you don't invest that much. You kind of just
It's
get your
still-
other one for free.
it is a set that's behind the times, but its good cards are good enough. Like the Clock Kicker's a real threat. You have to
Yeah,
know that
for
card's
sure.
coming. It's very efficient, off the change, and like comes out off the
Just-
bar.
Yeah, it just summons a second copy of itself.
And you're playing like either like win bar or bag bar, stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I consider anything with bar as 1/4 of to be a very consistent climax lineup. It doesn't really matter where your bar is. You're going to get it. There's like 2 turns of attacks before you get there. That's 6 chances to trigger a bar.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot with the card captor deck, and I think that the Aquarium Date combo off of the bag at level 1 is actually really good. I think it's actually a really good level 1 combo. You get a plus to your hand on climax play. Don't have to reverse, don't do anything. Just put the card into play, grab your cards back from your waiting room. And then your field gets super big and hits over whatever you need to hit over. So you like hit over 2 lanes and like plus 1 or 2 cards back to your hand.
It's worth noting that even though people call Sakura outdated and all this other stuff, slandering the set and stuff, the set has enough tools to turn generic card into other cards, which is something that no one talks about, and people don't talk about the bag combo and stuff like that. That's the main reason I think the bag combo is like good enough, because it's a guaranteed plus, basically, if the cards are in the right places. Guaranteed plus, and you can easily turn the card into a card that you need.
The bag. Well, another thing with card captor too is going into your change combos. They require you to discard a lot of cards from your hand, and you really don't care what you're discarding. Even though the bag combo salvages trash into your hand, you just need trash to throw away.
Mm-hmm.
You literally just need a card that is a card. And that bag combo, it is leagues better. Leagues better than the Shimakaze win gun. It's a bad Shimakaze combo too. It doesn't even hit 7K.
It's 500 under
status. Man, it's either run a bad Shimakaze or like
a
unique bag combo that wins field and salvages for free. I love it.
So you'd say this is better than Excel World. Excel World's like the dark horse here.
Excel World is interesting.
I think the Attack on Titan matchup is ass. You invest so heavy in one lane with Accelerate to get a reverse, and then they just run away.
Yeah.
And I think...
What about TLR? Dude?
I don't know. I think Excel World just matches up too poorly.
TLR is actually so well positioned against the meta decks. Like, pretty good against AOT. I guess it's not that great against AOT. It's not good against AOT, never mind. It's good against Konosuba. That's the only thing it's good against. Never mind, I lied. I
mean, that's still relevant, though. And they have a good money counter.
Yeah, they have Project Darkness.
But I think overall their card quality is a little bit weaker.
They have like one
more
good
modern sets.
They have one good deck. They have Transformation, Housework. That's it. Yeah, I gotta give it Card Captor. If anything's gonna move up to B, it has to be Card Captor. Anyone in opposition?
I agree. 4 and B is Card Captor Sakura. That's fine.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
What's at the top of C? Kuryuka Hime, Yami, or Batman?
C for Disgaea.
Or I guess Muse meta.
I really like that deck.
You guys are sorely underestimating my boy Laharl.
I've played that deck against... you've played that deck against me so many times, and I don't feel threatened ever.
Wow,
it's just a Fiesta, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Not the 2-soul Fiesta.
Okay,
deck.
but C isn't a Fiesta. C is like a deck you could play that you don't have to feel too terrible about. But
I gave you the top of D with Disgaea. D for Disgaea, bro.
You guys.
I mean, if you're a complete idiot and you suck at Weiss Schwarz and you suck at card games, Disgaea is probably the best deck you could possibly play. That's your S tier. That's your meta.
It is my meta. I think Disgaea has merits in the fact that it can wall decently well at level 1 with the Laharls, and Winged Slayer is an extremely viable threat.
That is the only thing that Disgaea has.
Okay, if you're gonna talk about 2 things, can we talk about Muse's many things? Like, I keep forgetting how many good tools Muse has throughout the game.
Muse has everything.
They have a subpar version of every card, basically.
Yes, exactly.
And I think I think that makes them the top contender for this top C slot. Like they have like a shitty Minami that
I mean, it's
has
such
a
an old
multi-combo.
set.
They have so many multi-combos. That's the crazy thing about it. Like you can run
And
like
it's a
three,
multi
four climax combos.
yeah, it's a multi combo on bar too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just gonna repeatedly slam that down.
I guess you could play the Blue Gate version too, but
I think Zach was running the Blue Gate version. But yeah,
I have no experience really playing against that deck. I've only played against it like once when Zach played it.
the deck feels like, again, I think it has like it has an understated version of every card that the good decks do, and that's good enough to make it like the best mid-tier deck. Like they have like all these weirdo tools, they have all these like double climax combos, all the cards that you run anyway because it's an old set. Like you're talking about anti-change. Their anti-change is a 2/1 coterie that goes to 13 against level 3s and then has a climax combo where you can pay one, ping one when you play one of your other climaxes. So it's like a card with double utility. They have so many weird little edge case things that help you squeeze a lot of tech into the deck. But everybody just plays fucking waifu decks, so nobody fucking talks about it. Like, and I think that's why a lot of people underrate it. I think the meta Muse deck is definitely, like, I can see the parts of all the good decks in it. It's just missing that like oomph. That
It's just because it's old.
yeah, just because it's old.
all right, I'll concede here. The Muse deck is better than Disgaea.
Top of C, any
I think I could agree with that. I think you made some really good points, Carmen.
Yeah. All right. So next here, Excel World, 2 Love Rube, Batman, and I guess this guy, and Idolmaster. Idolmaster is definitely here too.
I think it's worth noting that Idolmaster actually gets some tournament results still.
So
Out
does
of all
2
these
Love Rube
decks,
What about Madoka? I think Madoka's pretty good for this.
Okay, we got to talk about Apple Combo.
I do like that combo.
Apples.
I think Madoka is like the best bad deck in the game. I think it's like out of the really old school decks, it's the only one that's really remained relevant.
Yeah, it's fallen into place with Love Live being old.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Love Live has a lot more modern tools though. I think Madoka has like a few good cards and has a pretty vanilla strategy otherwise, and like
it's really easy to get going, and you just keep it there all game until you can clock shoot people. But I still
Sayaka's
think
Wish
it's pretty
is
fair.
so good. Sayaka's Wish is so good.
Sayaka's Wish is very good. Yeah,
that is the single card that makes the set
Still relevant.
still relevant in some capacity.
I really.
Otherwise, I think the deck is just barely good enough to keep pace with the others, but still up there. Maybe like bottom of C tier, like the very bottom.
Yeah.
Without Sayaka's Wish, the deck is horrible. Yeah.
I feel like it's between IMAS and TLR here. I'm biased to give it to 2 Love Rube because of how it's positioned right now against Konosuba.
I've never played with or against Telever, so I don't know. I don't even know what the cards do.
Andy brings up a good point. People still play IMAS, and it does have good tools. It does kind of have a re-zero-y mid-game. But then Ronco
Its
sucks.
endgame sucks though.
Yeah,
I
Ronco
think Idolmaster is one of the most fire 0-1 games out there.
Yeah.
You just blow through your deck like no other with the Akatsuki and the Minami. You go through your deck so quick.
Yeah.
And your level 1 game's so strong.
Yeah, the level 1 game's really good. The Ronco angle Devil stuff alongside the Minamis is really good.
If only they had a finisher.
So yeah, I don't know. 2 Love Rube, IMAS. I feel like this is such a fucking toss-up here. 2 Love Rube is good against Konosuba. They have some like really janky stuff that you don't see anymore. They have like the Maya that's like on death. You like pay 1, clock yourself 1, and like look at 2 cards and take any card. Like cards that help you like set up for your like even better setup for your level 1 combo. Your level 1 combo is super consistent with those Shimikazes. Well, yeah, the on reverse searchers, because it's also off a bar. So, and then you have a double combo that helps your bar get over stuff. It gives Spot 2k power to the back and gives them hand encore. so you can like feasibly reverse and continue comboing throughout the game to like continue getting Yamis, and then Yami digs for her own climax, is free and has hexproof. Like, I don't know.
I don't know too much about Telovru, like about their individual card quality, but I do think that the money counter and the hexproof finisher make it probably a little bit more relevant than IMAS in the current
Yeah, I
meta.
feel like it's so close, but I have to hand it to Tulovru.
And
here
Wind
for
Trigger.
me.
Wind Trigger's real good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like consistent. It's more consistent at doing what it wants to do, which is get reverses with its Shimikazes. It has some unique zeros, like the zero that turns into the rune with Clock Encore, and like pluses you.
Mhm.
It like goes even. You like pay one, pitch a card. You like turn it into a 1055 with Clock Encore, 55 with Clock Encore, and then add a 2/1 to your hand. So it like goes even for one stock to like turn into a 5500, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. When it comes to like English and stuff like that, and like the cards are missing, like we don't have Wormhole and stuff like that, the things that keep Tulovru. But like again, I think it comes back to Yami. Yami's just better than anything IMAS has at the top.
I feel like bottom line is thanks to Yami, Tulovru is never horrible. It's a little outdated, but it's never terrible.
Like Ronco just doesn't do anything.
No, I have a couple games experience playing against Idolmaster, and the Ronco finisher is extremely.
I have many games playing with Ronco experience, and she thoroughly sucks.
Got to give it
She's
the
terrible.
oh whoa, oh whoa,
Oh whoa, what's this?
oh whoa. All right, so Yami
I
then IMAS.
I think Telovru.
I think
Yeah.
to Lover than Idolmaster is fair. Yeah.
All right, so Excel World, Batman, Disgaea, and Madoka are the things we're talking about. I don't really want to talk about Disgaea here, like at all. I don't even want
I
to.
think
Disgaea's
Disgaea is
indeed.
down. Yeah.
All right. So
Well, I'm outvoted. I'll hold my tongue for a couple more minutes.
Excel World, Batman, and Madoka. What do we want to do here? I feel like it has to be Excel World next.
I don't agree. I think Batman has the most potential.
I think I'm with Andy here. I think solely due to BatClan, I think Batman has more of a sliver of relevance than Excel World.
I guess that's fair. Excel World, you dump resources and take damage to try to get a reverse. Batman says you don't get reversed. And I guess you're right. You don't get reverses is stronger. That's a stronger thing to say to your opponent.
Yeah.
I think there's a ton of potential with Batman. I think you guys are really underrating it.
I do hate it. I hate
Like
everything about
I
it.
think C tier. You know, after discussing everything, I think this is the appropriate spot on the tier list for it. But I think there's a lot of potential there.
All right. So right after IMAS. And then guess this just falls in line. Excel World Madoka. Right there.
I think that's
Or-
fair, yeah.
What other decks are there in?
Oh, we keep forgetting about Project Diva.
Boys in shorts.
Is Boys in Shorts better than Batman? That's a question we need to answer. Because I don't think it's better than
Probably not.
I don't think it's better than Idolmaster. That's
It
for
might
sure.
might be better than Madoka. I'm not sure how it compares.
I think
to
it
Excel
is
World.
better than Madoka. I would definitely say it's better than Madoka.
Is it better than Excel World?
No.
Okay, so Excel World, Project Diva, Madoka.
Project Diva is really high roll. Like
Yeah.
the level 1 soundless voice combo is even still it's incredible.
Yeah. So this is our C tier. Muse.
But it's just so high roll. Like if you don't get that combo off or if they answer it, you're screwed.
You just don't do anything. You're just like going in all game.
You're all in. It's a one-trick pony.
So, okay, to review. Muse, Tulovru, Idolmaster, Batman, Excel World, Project Diva, Madoka, and C tier. We kind of already touched on Madoka and why it's better.
I think that's pretty fair. But what about Prisma Ilya?
I
don't know anything about the deck.
I was going to get into that in D. I think that is the best bad deck. Prisma Ilya is a better bad deck than Disgaea.
I have I don't think I've ever played a game against Prisma Ilia. All I know is that when it pops off hard.
When it pops off,
Supposedly.
you die. When it pops off, you die. Prisma
Don't they
Ilia.
have do they have a good plussing combo at 1?
I don't think so. I don't think they do anything. So basically, everything below Madoka is a deck that doesn't plus. Let's just throw that out there. Or very rarely.
Excuse
Oh, wait
you.
a second. We don't need to talk about either of these yet, because you know what's the best bad deck? Nisekoi.
Disgaea.
Nisekoi, straight up.
Disgaea.
Nisekoi, yeah.
Nisekoi is the best bad deck. Nisekoi is the best D tier deck by
Olay.
by a large
Mexican
margin.
championship tournament winner.
No, it
2018.
definitely is. They have plussing combos. They have
So does
decent
Disgaea.
zeros. Plussing
So
combos.
does Disgaea.
Be quiet.
They have a really good event engine. Like
So does Disgaea.
no, they don't.
Wing Slayer.
That's not an engine, Brian. It's
Okay.
one card.
The Promise Pendant engine is actually good. The cards around it, but like the engine itself, super good. Super good.
Disgaea's engine is shuffling your opponent's climaxes back into their deck.
Is there really an argument against Nisekoi at top of D here? I feel like this is super obvious, but I guess I'm like the only one who's really played
What
with
about
that.
and then the other one like that I feel like none of us really have a lot of experience with is the Fate deck. Like the Fate coin flip deck that apparently is alright. That I've never played against.
Is that the deck that Brett plays?
No.
Then
I don't know.
I have,
Fate
I have
has a
no
lot
idea
of-
what that list is.
Fate has a lot of stuff though across 2 sets.
They do.
Or
They're getting
3
Heaven's
sets, yeah.
Feel. So
Yeah, I mean, still we can't acknowledge that. For now.
right, but it's coming. It might
Is-
probably get better.
It's still not as good as Nisekoi though. Like Nisekoi has like legitimately good early plays that let you grind the game out because it removes 3 cards from deck on attack. The change is like overcosted, but the card is good and heals you on play. It has like good chip finishers. Like Marika is like still a good chip finisher. She like pings 1 on play more than ReZero ever got for free. You know, like she just comes down, pings on play, gets big when other things get reversed. So like they have like disruptive like ways to hold field. They have like decent ones. They're like a little understated, but they have like clock encore and stuff. They have decent tools. Like Nisekoi does the best at like emulating what the other decks do as a bad deck. It's still a bad deck, but Promise Pendant is what puts it at the top.
I think we should put Nisekoi at the top of D. And then I think we should put Fate and Prisma Ilia after, because they're apparently okay, but
I
I
feel
really
like
don't know anything about them, so I guess we'll give them
Okay.
the benefit of the doubt.
I feel like
Okay,
Krylia is just so much like the idea behind it, where you're playing the ultimate combo deck, where you do nothing but play sort of okay Kuros that are like big, and you just kind of like play them and like sit on where you can, and then you just throw away like 2 climaxes in your hand and have 1 on field. You have to like play a climax and ditch 2 climaxes, and then like everything on your field burns or some like ridiculous shit. Everything dies. Like I don't know. By the power of lollies, you win the game because you're the biggest degenerate at the tournament. That's like all that Prisma Ilia says.
D for degenerate.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time for me to plead my case for Disgaea.
All right, let's hear it.
Fine. Let's hear it.
Okay, so aside from the fact that Disgaea's only good brainstormer is a draw brainstorm,
That bonds to a card that doesn't exist.
it doesn't bond, does it?
I don't know. I thought that was it.
That and they don't have a good finisher combo.
You need
Those
to
are the
finish
only
when
2
you
things.
play Two-Soul.
Exactly. So
What's
You
a
have
finisher?
you have a couple options with Disgaea. You have a plussing combo at level 1 off of a 2-soul, which in first deck can be extremely relevant sometimes. But it's like
sack, it's good.
it's like the level 1 Kokoro combo in Bang Dream. If you stick them for damage, good, you're ahead. If they cancel, then you get to plus. Your other option in Disgaea is a 2/2 hand-on core climax combo with a stock soul on attack ping 1, which I think
I do like that card.
the 2-soul beater with a hand-on core is effectively your finisher in Disgaea. Not to mention the fact that Winged Slayer is a nutso card, and Disgaea has one of the best free fresh cards in the game.
They have that Laharo where you can heal loop, and then you can play that big boy that sits at 20k or some shit.
Right, yeah, they have the heal looping Laharo finisher, which can send himself to memory and salvage 2 characters, so you can loop heals. Or you have the Supreme Overlord level 3, which sits at 20k and clock shoots anything it reverses for free.
Isn't that if the board's empty though?
Your board has to be empty for that, yes.
I mean, your Disgaea. What on your board is living? I guess the 0 Laharo.
I mean, in certain decks, if you're playing, you can play the level 1 Laharo. That's a 1/7k.
Just a vanilla.
It's a vanilla. But
it's vanilla.
But Disgaea has access to the 1/0 that sits in the back row and gives all of your demons hand encore, which makes the wall significantly better. In addition to the fact that they have the back row Prinny that gives frontal 500 and global 500 to Laharo characters.
So what you're telling me is it's basically Silica.
With 3 cards, it's basically Silica.
It's Silica, but it sits at 8,000 power.
I guess it's better, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. We should put it above Sao.
To me, Disgaea and Haruhi are like at the same level. Because they're both these weird, janky Soul Rush decks. Where Disgaea is more focused on...
Disgaea doesn't have to be a Soul Rush deck.
Yeah, that's the thing. Disgaea doesn't necessarily have to be a Soul Rush deck. You can play more of a mid-range game with Disgaea and then just loop heals at the end.
I wish that Haruhi had the draw brainstorm that Disgaea had. I think if Haruhi had like an actual plussing brainstorm, it'd be a somewhat relevant set. Just because they have all these destructive events and stuff that mess with your opponent's climaxes.
Okay,
like
Brian.
Send their climax to the waiting room. That's crazy.
Let's put it this way. In Disgaea, you play a somewhat unique game. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. You play a somewhat unique game throughout the game where your only real finisher is to try to sustain while, like, vanilla swinging.
You are not wrong.
Okay. Prillia, you play a really normal game the whole game. You have, like, some decent zeros. Like, but I guess this guy also has decent zeros, so ignore that. You play, like, a kind of mediocre game all game. And then you kill your opponent. Guaranteed. What's better?
Okay.
What do we do here? Like, I feel like...
Okay, the fact that Prisma Ilia has a finisher that exists might give it the edge.
But again,
Maybe.
I just
I don't know. What would you
right
be more
now,
afraid to sit down across against, Disgaea or Prillia?
I'd be more afraid against Prillia.
I feel like I'd be more afraid against Disgaea solely due to the fact that Prisma Ilia's combo is so difficult to get off.
Against a deck that runs
It's 8
souls?
pants. No, it's 8 pants. Prillia's 8 pants, dude. You're getting those climaxes back, brother. But I just realized all this is irrelevant. The 2 slot goes to Fake Coin Flip because I just realized they have a real level 1 and 3 combo. They have a Minami at 1 and a finisher at 3, and that makes it better than both these decks.
Are you trying to tell me conditional plus on a 2-soul is not good enough for you?
Not compared to a Minami clone that is equally statted with Minami and a real finisher. They have a 5-attack finisher, even if you're not playing the Gilgamesh Coin Flip stuff. They have a 5-attack finisher that's like pretty reasonably costed. I played it against Brett the other day, or Brett played it against me. It gets 5 attacks. Like, that's fine. Sal does that. Like, and it brings from waiting room. You have to ditch them. It's a little bit more research intensive, but like, I don't know, the rest of your game is fairly free from what I was seeing. And like, they have cards that like give their whole boards encore. I think it's like pretty equivalent to Nisekoi in a different way. Nisekoi's better against the meta because it like compresses harder in a like trickier way, and like it has like the fact that the Onodera change is on like a backup, like on a anti-change backup. So like you're like playing anti-change backups to board and then like threatening holding anti-change backups into the next turn. It's like really good against the meta right now specifically because everything's so early play heavy. But yeah, I think it has to go to Fate because of that.
Fate over. I mean, I don't know. I'll just
in two slot, I guess.
Concede my decision to you, Carmen, because I don't know fucking shit about either of these decks.
I think it has to be Fate just based on that they have like a actually reasonable mid game, whereas both of these other decks we're discussing are like middling at best.
So it's Fate, then Nisekoi, then Prisma, then Disgaea.
I think it's Nisekoi before Fate just because of the anti-change stuff, but I think they're very close. I think you could interchange these in any way, but I'm more familiar with Nisekoi, so and I think most of us are.
Yeah,
I think the Promise Pendant engine is better than the stuff Fate has to get into its like big beaters and stuff like that. And like also Nisekoi also has like 2 early plays that it can run consistently, which is also good because it's baiting your opponent's resources too. Whereas Fate just is kind of like playing a normal game with outdated cards, and then like it does like a worse version of other stuff, which is also what Nisekoi does. But yeah, I don't know.
Nice Koi.
It's a toss-up between those two.
Nice Koi.
All
Nice Koi is nice.
So Prillia or Disgaea?
Disgaea. I think it's more. I'd be more afraid to sit down against Disgaea and think, shit, I'm just gonna get soul rushed and die.
You can always play 2 souls in Disgaea. It's the old standby.
I don't know. Like I feel like we're so biased to Disgaea being like a stupid bullshit because Brian played it so often. But like, I don't know. Looking at Dean's list and he was explaining it, it's just like, yeah, all the cards are stupid and bad and suck. But like, I don't know. It wasn't like a real soul rushy deck. It was like a very normal deck that had an aggressive strategy based on markering with that 0 and getting too big for your opponent to ever deal with it, which is cool. It's like a steamroll deck, right?
Yeah, I played around with that deck a little bit. I think there's definitely some something going for it there.
Is that better than Prillia though?
Let's put it to a vote.
I have no idea.
I vote Disgaea.
I vote
I
Prillia.
also vote Disgaea.
Thank you.
All right, fine. It's Disgaea.
It's just because I have no idea what Prisma does.
Yeah,
Alright.
it's so tough to evaluate.
All right, so next, Kill a Kill or Haruhi?
Kill a kill.
Kill a kill for sure.
Kill a Kill.
They have like actual combos. Like they
They
actually have like a decent finisher, right?
So wait,
have
is that better than Prillia then? Maybe. Is it
Possibly.
better than Disgaea?
It's not. Nothing's better than Disgaea.
Kill a kill has that like disgusting level 1 Ryuko that doesn't die ever. It's like this huge Ryuko with Clock Encore or something, right?
The level 3 that keeps.
No. It's like a level 1. It's like a. It has
level
like
1
forced
that never
Clock
dies
Encore,
and can't be reversed.
but it's like huge. I know Drew has it in his deck.
So wait, is that better than Disgaea?
Probably.
Is Kill a
Maybe.
Kill better than Disgaea?
I don't know. This guy is just. It's 8-2 souls. You know that counts for something, right?
I feel like these are all so close. Like this whole Disgaea, Prillia, Kill a Kill, Haruhi like quadrant here is like so.
I think Haruhi's down below all those decks.
I agree.
I don't think it's quite F though. I think F is reserved for
F
Fairy Tail.
F for Fairy Tail.
yeah. Like F is reserved for actual garbage.
At least Haruhi, like I mentioned earlier, they have like really weird, janky interaction, like sending your opponent's climaxes to waiting room, or they have that level 3 Mikuru that doesn't let your opponent play a climax. Like in any other set,
They have that card
that would be
Nagato.
crazy. That would be crazy in any other set.
That Nagato
So
that
many
sends
of Haruhi's
everything to
cards.
memory, and you can bring everything back.
Oh,
into
that card's
different
the best.
positions.
Wherever you want to put
That
it.
card's that's some bomb.com shit, right?
If those cards were in Bang Dream or Konosuba or Sword Art,
They'll never print cards like that again because those cards make Weiss fun. Just
If-
like
no, those were the
just
most
like
fun cards.
anti-salvage and anti-heal. You see how they don't print any of that stuff anymore? Like they don't print those kind of effects anymore.
if everything else in Haruhi didn't suck so much ass.
All right, so are we just gonna leave Kill a Kill here? Yeah, I feel like these three, like
I think-
Disgaea, Prillia, Kill a Kill, are like all in contention for being better than the other.
I would personally put Kill a Kill between Disgaea and Prisma Ilia.
I agree.
All right, fine. Lollies get the shaft yet again.
And then Haruhi after Prisma.
Nobody got that. Whatever, it was a bad joke anyway.
I got it.
Alright,
I didn't want to acknowledge.
I got it. I didn't want to comment on it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Alright, yeah, it was in bad taste. Alright, last tier, F. We have left Angel Beats,
Compression beats.
Bake Monogatari, Fairy Tail, and Log Horizon. Bake does have a +2 soul plus combo.
The dumpster.
Can't Angel beat Soul Rush? And they do have something in the warehouse.
They do.
Angel Beats can Soul Rush, yes.
Is it Angel Beats or Bake?
I think Angel beats.
I mean, I don't have a lot of experience playing this set. I played against this set. I've played against Brett's weird Yui build. I've seen compression.
I've lost to Brett's Yui build.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's not terrible. It does
It's
like
not,
a weird
no.
thing that you can't really deal with. Operation Tornado's good.
Yeah, Brett's Yui build and my dumpster Monogatari build. Neither of them are the quote-unquote meta builds for these sets, so they're kind of hard to judge.
I
Yeah.
feel like a +2 soul plus in combo is like,
That has to be worth something.
yeah, like it has to be. It has
That's
to
what
be
this-
something, right?
That's what this guy has got.
Is that better than Angel Beats memory compression? Does Angel Beats has plussing level 1, right? And like,
No idea.
Dang.
it prevents your opponent from using Encore.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think there's a
Very powerful.
Yuri. I think there's a red Yuri combo.
I wanted to say it's Yuri as well.
There's a Yuri level 3 that's like does something, right? It like has an effect of some sort.
It's a card with words on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Yuri's
I-
a hand filter. It's a choose 2 in waiting room and ditch 2.
The level 1.
Yeah, it's on
On
attack.
On attack. Okay. At least it's not on reverse.
All right. Well, if you're not plussing, I think Monogatari has Angel Beats beat.
Well, the other thing though is the Yuri build is 8 gate.
Ooh. So you're
That's gonna get Carmen and Bry on that
you're
side.
plussing the old-fashioned way. 8
Mm.
gates. Trigger that shit and then pay 1 and send it all to memory. I don't know. Memory compression and 8 gates are a +2 soul.
And at least isn't
Such a hard-
Bake Monogatari? Isn't it really trait locked?
No, it's all strange.
Yeah, it's locked to
Is
the
it?
it's locked to the strange trait, but everything is strange.
Oh, okay.
When you're strange. All right, let's make a decision. I vote Bake because I like the show and I like 2 soul.
I'm gonna agree. Bakemonogatari over Angel Beats here.
I do Angel Beats.
I'd say Angel beats as well.
Wow, thanks guys.
Someone must bend.
Where's
I don't know.
Drew?
that one Bake Mono build that we looked at that like top 3 that tournament or something.
Yeah,
That
this
was
the
like
coin.
in trios.
They played coin flip. Yeah, they just played.
And it had like a 2 soul with a.
Oh, there's Drew.
Yeah, has Angel Beats ever topped in trios? I don't think so.
I don't fucking know. Maybe like 10 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, well, Monogatari topped recently, so
Yeah, Monogatari top.
All right. On
And
basis
Angel
of
Beats.
results, let's
All
say
right.
Bake.
So here's the final contender: Fairy Tail or Log Horizon.
Log Horizon then Fairy Tail.
I agree. Fairy Tail sucks. At least Log Horizon, while it's completely garbage,
They
at
do
least
have
there's
Shiro.
like some merit to playing it. There's like at least something at the top.
They have
Fairy
the
Tail's
Shiro and the great performance.
Fairy
As-
Tail's just shit the whole way through.
Much as
I
hate
really,
to
really
say it,
wish it got a power up set.
It should, dude.
It's a huge show.
You know how many people I get interested in the game by telling them, "Hey, there's Fairy Tail," and they're like, "Wow, I want to make that deck. How do I do
Alright.
it?" And I have to tell them immediately, "No, it sucks. You're gonna waste your money." And then they never play.
Yeah.
That said, they need to do it with Fairy Tail what they did to Excel World. You know, the first set was so shitty that they need to just scrap it and like make a whole new set.
Alright,
that's what they
guys.
did. That's what they did with Monogatari and JP.
Let's pop back to this. What is it? The slideshow, real quick, because I
Yeah.
put our tier list on here. So here's the combined tier list. A final result of all our bickering and arguing. So now that we have this is what everybody had, right? I'm not off at all.
That's right.
It looks right to me, yeah.
Yeah, looks fine.
Let's look at Connor's. So.
Oh,
this is the
Sword
Boats
Art.
Don't Sink guy.
Yeah, this is Boats Don't Sink.
Sword
For
Art is
Connor
low.
himself. I feel like he doesn't put a lot of thought into the lower end. But he's also been playing Weiss a lot longer than us.
Yeah, he has Disgaea between Bakemonogatari and Fairy Tail. He's clearly wrong.
Yeah, I feel like this is just throwing things in here, and he just didn't care past B. So basically, he has S, A, B, C, D. He doesn't have an F tier. So if we cut F off at at Fairy Tail here,
I don't know. Like, I think this guy just thinks that everything in D tier is trash. That's this dude's opinion.
yeah,
Yeah, probably.
he has
Like, it's
Sao
just like,
so
there's the rest
low.
of it.
I wanna hear his opinion on why he's put Sword Art at the bottom of A.
He has Sao so low and GGO
Yeah.
so high. Like,
I like his placement of GGO, but I think
It's
Sao
high.
should be up there too.
I want to. If I had to make a guess, I'd say it's solely based on the Attack on Titan matchup.
that is worth noting.
I mean, Bang Dream is more popular than Attack
so-
on Titan.
It's worth noting that when it comes to English, like, big events, Boats Don't Sink, he primarily plays Attack on Titan in every event, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, well, that's probably
that's
why.
his prevailing. So these, I guess you can lens it that way. Like, and if you look at it, it kind of matches up, right? Where, like,
From the lens of Attack
he's
on Titan,
most
this
afraid. He's most afraid of Bang Dream because Bang Dream doesn't give a fuck about him. Like, he doesn't care as much about. He acknowledges Konosuba as a good deck because he's good at the game, like, and realizes its strengths. Same thing with Sunshine. Sunshine should probably be after Bang Dream, honestly, if this is from an AOT, purely AOT perspective. It's obviously not, but it's a factor. GGO, that's definitely the AOT talking, which I think is fair. Contai.
I feel like he's basing the whole thing just around, like, AOT's the best deck, so how does everything match up against AOT?
Sao doesn't match up poorly against AOT, though. Like, Zekken Shot doesn't.
I don't even think the standby build is
Matches up
terrible
poorly.
either.
You
You
at least
think?
stand a chance of denying reverses. Like,
With standby?
yeah, with standby.
Yeah, I don't think standby is a terrible matchup versus AOT. I think it's just weird. It's a weird one.
It's
I think
possible.
his.
Go ahead, Carmen.
I was gonna move on to B tier. Just finish up.
I was just gonna say, looking at Sword Art here, it's possible that he is just they don't have a very good finisher, and most of the other sets in above it in A tier can either finish very hard or can stall the game. Sword Art doesn't do either very well.
Oh, I think Sword Art's finisher's fine, dude.
I think
Shot's
Sword Art
fine.
is fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Stock swap.
Standby switch is better. That's
I mean,
switch
they
is a
do
better
have-
finisher than
They do have stock swap. I'm just trying to justify this somehow.
Yeah, I think his B tier is the only thing even.
The B tier looks fine.
Yeah, I think the B tier is something that I could be argued to, like,
Yes.
agree with. It would be hard. It would be hard to convince me that Batman was better than Gurren Lagann. That would be a really, really hard discussion.
That's
Yeah.
a tough one, but this seems plausible.
Yeah, it's like B is plausible. A, obviously plausible. The ordering's all fucky, but, like,
Oh wait, did he make this tier list before they did
no,
the Gorilla Grodd
this
thing?
is after Gorilla Grodd. This is directly after Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it looks pretty solid. I think Sal should be either above Gun Gale or right below it.
Muse is way too low in C tier. Nisekoi
Yeah.
being up this high is suspect. I think it's worse than Boys in Shorts for sure. Like, it's definitely not that good. It's definitely the best bad deck, but I guess he has Fate above it too. Maybe this is a good placing for Fate since we're also kind of not as relevant. I'm sure Brett will yell at me about this video later about how I'm not relevant. But like, I mean, I've seen all.
You're not relevant.
I've seen all the cards. Like, I know what the cards do. Like, like, I don't know. I just don't agree with this big D tier and like the placement and everything in there. This was just like, I can't remember if he ordered things in his tiers or not. That's like the one thing with this list. I don't want to give these orderings as absolute because I can't remember if he stated if these were ordered tiers or not. If they're not ordered, I think this is totally acceptable list.
I mean, at least A would have to be ordered.
Yeah.
In his eyes, at
I
least.
feel like A in his eyes has to be ordered. Everything else not being ordered is eh.
I mean,
Because that's what I did at first with mine, and Brian was just like, oh, you're supposed to order that, and I was like, oh.
it takes like a few seconds to order it, especially near the top.
Yeah.
I feel like if he's making a video, why wouldn't he order his tiers? But like, I don't know. I'm not him. I don't know. I think this tier list is fine. I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to say ours is more refined. I just feel like there wasn't a lot of discussion in the B and lower going on, which was the main thing we wanted to address with this in English, was the lower end.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm satisfied with our...
yeah, let's pop back. I really like this tier list. This is... I feel like this is pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
After all the talking...
I think our list is pretty comprehensive.
I really like moving Sal up to S. I think it's very worthy of being there. I think it makes the rest of the list flow better. It makes the rest of the list make more sense, like the way it's divided. Like,
I agree.
Having Sal in S divides an ordered tier list a lot better.
I'm glad me and Andy convinced both of you to put Sal in S.
All right, guys. Any closing thoughts? Anything else we want to go with?
Sorry for dumping on Bang Dream so much.
I'm not.
Hey, it's all about. This is all about airing your thoughts, so it's totally fine. Like, it's what this was for.
I don't take it back.
No one was asking you to.
Well, all right then.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.